Let's go. I'm spectating Tsubaki's side, but we'll change back and forth. Since I have the names up here, it won't be confusing. So this is it. Six rounds of Swiss leading up to this very point. Tsubaki-chan, of course, being the #1 person on the previous Crystle Cup leaderboard, got a free invite to the top 16. So it's either a benefit or a bit of a hindrance, if you will, because you're either not warmed up or you're super fresh, ready to go. But he does have a pretty tough opponent in front of him. It is Mr. Marnefarmer. So let's get things started, guys. Top 16, the quarterfinals. Tsubaki-chan versus Marnefarmer. Who's taking this, guys? It is a best of 3 series, so it isn't just decided in one game. We're in for a heck of a match. Let's go ahead and see what they're into, Rarzi.
Yes, first man comes through. Marnie doesn't want to deal with Volorant, knocking that out nice and quick. And Tsubaki actually eyeing the pig. Indeed, he does. He bans Pigapek over Kinu, Naga, Wolfie, Size Munch.
Yeah,
so many options.
Yeah, so interesting indeed, Rarzi. It's so fascinating. People still fearing the pig, but I mean, Tsubaki's such a high level player. I never doubt anything he does. So if he says the pig is the biggest threat, I'm going with it too. So the pig being the biggest threat against Tsubaki-chan. I guess maybe the tornadoes for the Ninja Sills, the Ashi Dashis perhaps for the Volcrane there. But yeah, maybe the Bamboozle's a bit too problematic sometimes. And who did Marnie do? Okay, yeah, you said it, the Volorant. So wow, Tsubaki already starting off spicy. The Noxalato as the opening pick. We don't see that too often, Marzi.
And Tsubaki's kind of in a weird spot, I would say. I think that there are a couple of Tems here that he absolutely needs to bring through, and he likely will only get one of them. Marnie would not let Naga and Volcrane through onto this team.
Yeah, so maybe Kinu Noxalato as the opening. I mean, keep Noxalato pretty tanky. If he falls into trance, he gets special defense. So if you're if you're able to cover the defensive part of it, that's gonna be literally the most impenetrable wall we've ever seen. Let's see if Tsubaki's able to set that up in game #1. But now we're working with bands #2. Cernif is a troublesome Temtem. Naga is a troublesome Temtem. But let's take a look at his team. What is the biggest threat in our opinion?
I feel like Tsubaki lacking any melee presence does make Wolfie a little bit more of a threat, but he does decide to ban Kinu instead. Doesn't want to let anybody get these protector buffs on Marnie's side.
And yeah, I mean, Kinu, if you don't know what to ban, the safest ban is a Kinu. You're always going to get value out of a Kinu, so I think it's still just the best ban there. But now I'm kind of thinking, how is he going to deal with the Cernif? I mean, I guess the Noxalato is a good check there. But if it gets kind of defensive up, some Shy Shields, or if this is Colossity. But like you said, Rarzi, the Wolfie might be giving Tsubaki some troubles here. Not too much melee pressure whatsoever on Tsubaki's side, so it might be tough to deal with.
Yeah, so now Tsubaki potentially considering this Saku. Yes, indeed. Able to tank himself up a little bit and have some presence with Tornado against that Calibus.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Calibus too much, but look at these tamers. Did we miss the memo, Rarzi? Did someone tell us, or did we miss out that Calibus is in the meta now? Because I didn't get that memo. Look, both of these players, being that the caliber that they are, recruiting Calibus not only on their team, but on their opening 5 rosters. So impressive stuff. Let's see how well it's going to work out for these guys.
I mean, I guess the type coverage of Calibus kind of outweighs its traits not being so good. Having that toxic for any kind of nature and water to cover any fires is really a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. That we used to see Calibus. So there was a point where Calibus was the preferred tanky toxic tem over Nidrasil because there was so much fire in the meta to counter Gialis and Valash. But it started falling off a bit because Nidrasil, I think it was the nature tems, or I can't remember
Calibus
exactly what
fell
fell off, but let's get started into this quarterfinal. Tsubaki with the Noxalotl and Marnefarmer, Gialis and Calibus. So already such an interesting start to get the things started.
Yeah, it's just as a note, I think the Calibus fell off when Nidrasil was able to madness buff itself, and it counted as an attack, and it was able to heal itself back up. So I think that people decided to go that way instead. But yeah, looking at this one, certainly some pressure on this Kinu very early on. Toxic Ink, and then next turn a Crystal Bite.
Yeah, and Toxic Ink actually does pressure to 2 out of the 3 back line of Tsubaki. The Saku doesn't like to eat those. The Naga doesn't want to eat those. The only thing that can is the Flying Octopus, aka the Calibus Tsubaki's working with. So that might be the most reasonable ban. So we could be seeing that. Now on the side of Tsubaki, he could just be going with a solid Toxic Ink to get some poison ticks onto Gialis.
Ooh, a madness buff instead.
Oh, of course.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so forget the trance trait. We're gonna get those buffs right now.
You see Marnie doubling into this Calibus spot though, dealing a little bit of damage, down to 66% off of turn 1.
Yeah, so as you said, Varzi, a couple things are now online. So Ymir or the Gialis, of course, Crystal Bite, Hook Kick, Sharp Stab, all those are online. The heaviest technique is of course that Crystal Bite, most likely coming into Calibus direction, because I don't think he has enough in that power to take down a +1 defense Noxel just yet. And you definitely don't want to risk giving it a free trance buff there. So I'm thinking you want to go into Calibus here. But what does the Calibus want to do? I mean, I guess a Toxic Ink. He does have access to Strangle. He does have access to Tsunami. Yeah, the Calibus I'm not too used to seeing these days. So it's going to be a bit interesting to see what they pull out here.
Strangle could be a nice way to go. Stop Noxalotl from really accomplishing anything next turn. But it seems very vital right now. Tsubaki has to figure out how to deal with Marnie's Calibus. I mean, as you had mentioned earlier, this Calibus on Marnie's side will do so much damage into Kinu, into Saku, into Naga. This is very, very important. Tsubaki has to figure out how to deal with this Calibus sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, the most direct answer does have his weaknesses is that Saku. So those wind bursts and those tornadoes from the Saku are gonna hurt. But what else is gonna hurt is that War Drum Crystal Bite coming through. So solid damage onto the Calibus. But okay, Aqua Stone, there we go.
You finish up the turn with that Strangle onto Noxalotl. So both Calibus and Nox will be unable to attack this turn. Both players stuck with Gialis and Flying Octopus.
Yeah, and I actually didn't get to catch the total damage on that Aqua Stone. I wonder if it's more than the poison ticks. Actually, it has to be more because resistant trait on Gialis is only going to be giving it 1 tick of poison. So that's just 12.5%. Toxic, of course, being half damage into Crystal. So yeah, Aqua Stone probably the best line to play to just do more damage. I believe that's a 0-ho move, so maybe we get it one more time. As you said, Rarzi, the only ones able to attack are the Gialis and Calibus on the current board. So I'm thinking, I wonder, Rarzi, does a Hook Kick take the Calibus down here? I think it might be close, but not enough.
Hook Kick would certainly do a lot of damage towards Flying Octopus. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure how much, specifically how much mathematically. I would almost like to see Tsubaki go for something a little bit more aggressive here, knowing that, well, potentially swapping Saku back in so that he can use Tornado on Calibus. Although Calibus on Marnie's side still has full HP, a single Tornado would not be enough. And getting that Toxic Ink early on onto this Saku without any buffs would be very rough.
Yeah, so you could, I mean, Calibus is not able to do anything for this turn on Marnie's side because of the Strangle he did, of course. So I guess you could bring in the Saku. Tornado goes online that following turn to give a huge heavy hit into Calibus. So maybe a potential line of play, but I think both Tamers are going to keep everything in. But at the same time, it's a bit risky here. The Hook Kick potentially enough. We saw how much the Crystal Bite did. It might be close, but okay, swapping out. And the way the old Strangle worked, that means Noxalotl was able to get off an attack here, but not anymore. So both Calibus will be retreating. Okay, so buff the Noxalotl game plan. That is the thing Tsubaki's going for. And I think it's going to end up working out for him. So +2 defense. Man, Noxalotl will be the MVP on Tsubaki's side. So a little bit what J-Dragon has displayed before. But now it's in Tsubaki's hands. So really cool stuff seeing him work with one of the more underrated Temtems so far in this patch.
Now Marnie does bring Wolfie onto the field. Certainly another strong hitting, Noxalotl doesn't necessarily want to take these plagues.
Yeah, I mean, with +4 special defense, the plagues are barely gonna scratch it. It's just so much. It's like an anaerobic Volran. Okay, going back and forth. So out the Kinu, back out comes the Octopus. Crystal Bite definitely gonna, oh, not gonna kill. I thought it did more the previous turn. But Plague securing the kill. So first Temtem down of these quarterfinals. It's gonna be the Calibus, but Acid Reflux, how much are you gonna do? Oh, Wolfie's Team Elusive, of course.
Yeah, and it didn't accomplish all that much on Gialis. The Toxic Tick was certainly a nice addition. But yeah, thanks to Gialis' trait, only having one turn of that is really saving Gialis here.
Yeah, I mean, just saw damage for being half effective, of course. It is +2 special defense. Acid Reflux is finally the special attack move Noxalotl needed the whole time. Well, there we go. Marnie getting a single Temtem up on Tsubaki so far. So well done to Marnefarmer. Getting the slight edge so far, but in terms of setup, Tsubaki definitely has that one on his favor. I'm curious now what he brings out because, I mean, definitely not Naga. The Kinu doesn't want to be here, so potentially the Saku?
Bringing Saku out now, though, he won't have any of his holds available. It might almost be better to just bring Kinu, swap to Saku.
Very true. I think that's a better line of play. You want a +3 defense. Let's go, Noxalotl. Who's taking you down? It's going to take a double heat up from Seismuch or something to try to break through those defenses. But here we go. It's going to be the Naga. Very interesting and very bold. A Plague coming out from Marnefarmer here. Does such massive damage on Nagais here, so it's a bit risky. Of course, it flips it around. 3 prio usually first. It will now be going last, and I think Tsubaki's going with the good old bait and switch here because this Temtem is the complete opposite of what you want, right? You're facing off against a crystal that does double damage, a nature Temtem that does double damage, so very interesting choice to bring out this Naga here. What does he have up his sleeve?
Yeah, I mean, triggering Deceit Aura. It's weird because even if you were to swap now, even if you bring Saku back out, or rather Saku out, taking potential plagues, what is Deceit Aura really getting Tsubaki here? He must have some kind of 7 or 8 head going on. That's just beyond anything that we can think of.
Yeah, so I mean, I was thinking maybe that, like I said, like a bait, like bait off another heavy hitter, maybe bait off some more stamina for Marnefarmer. I mean, I'm not confused. I mean, a little confused, but I want to see what goes down. I mean, he has Beta Burst online. Maybe the Beta Burst going first against Gialis. Maybe that's what's the play here. I think you can get the kill, so maybe that's what he's going for. Let's see.
Now a nice little protector buff onto Kinu, and Gialis swapping out. Doesn't want anything to do with this despite having a massive type advantage. But we see Calibus coming back out. Beta Burst going into Calibus. First hits after so many turns on the board. Down to 65, but now the Plague all the way down to 58.8%. That protector buff doing quite a lot of work for Naga, but now Naga is trapped in with Toxic and Nature.
Yeah, that's the thing there. I think Tsubaki is choosing to just get solid damage. So Side Surge being one prio, that's of course going to be going first out of everything on the board currently. So we saw how much a Beta Burst did. I believe, how much is that? So about 35%. So it will be another 35% from that Side Surge. Can he double up with the Kinu? No, Kinu has to do 30% on the Calibus. That might be a bit too hard, a bit too ambitious. So what does Kinu want to become here? You know, as you said, Rarzy, if both of these threats are going into Naga here, maybe it's a perfect opportunity for the Kinu to swap in Saku, and then you get the Tornado online for the following turn.
Yeah, that could be a very solid play. But we don't see anyone swap just yet. We have the Psy Surge going towards Volphy rather than Calibus. 67% there, so just a little bit less than before. But the Lullaby from Kinu only putting Calibus to sleep because of...
It would be so spicy, but Team Elusive showing time and time again how much value you're able to get off a simple trait. You can't get Meteor Swarm, you can't get Lullaby, you can't get Naga's Fury. It's so insane, the Team Elusive trait. Time and time again, every single turn we see it pull off some incredible stuff and getting off solid damage. One more of those and of course Naga's will be going down. And you know, I think Tsubaki thought Lullaby was definitely going to sleep the Volphy there. Or else he would have just gone for Hypnosis, but maybe going with Lullaby instead of Hypnosis, so that is his Hypnosis perhaps.
Yeah, swapping it out, trying to have the lower priority to go along with the Seedora. I mean, either way, he didn't prevent Calibus from attacking that turn, which is very good, as Calibus would have done massive damage to either of Tsubaki's Tems. But now it looks like nobody decides to leave. Once again, Naga using Beta Burst towards Volphy, knocking him down to 34%, followed by Kinu's Beta Burst. Shouldn't be enough. No, not quite. 14% remaining on Volphy as the play goes towards Naga, taking him down out of the match. That's 2 Tems down for Tsubaki and 0 down for Marnie.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, he knew Nagais was going to be going down pretty soon, but I think he milked so much out of the Nagais. Got a solid I think a solid 3 attacks, right? Beta Burst, Side Surge, and another Beta Burst, so about 120% or so damage done across Calibus and Volphy there. So solid stuff. I mean, that's what you want out of your Temtem. You want him to do some damage before going down, and that's what he was. Fortunately though, Volphy over-exhorted on Marnie's side, so he doesn't have to worry about Volphy for this turn. So let's take a look at what Tsubaki's thinking about currently. Oh man, it's looking a bit rough. He only has the Kinu and the Saku to work with. And as you said before, if Saku comes in now, he only has access to Wind Burst.
So Calibus is alerted, so even if Kinu had Hypno, that would not be happening.
Yeah, definitely. You can't sleep the Calibus just yet, as you said, Rarzy. I mean, I guess a simple play would be Beta Burst this spot and just Wind Burst to Calibus to do huge damage for a simple Wind Burst the next turn. But the Beta Burst might be catching the Surnif here, because you definitely don't want to swap it to Gialis or the Size Munch. So most likely going to be turning into a Surnif here shortly. At least it seems like the reasonable line of play.
Yeah, if Marnie is able to start setting up this Surnif early enough, it might stand a chance against Nox later. Although the type disadvantage and Nox already being so set up certainly works in Tsubaki's favor. Ooh, but we do see Size Munch coming in for Volphy.
Oh, quite the brave. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, but he Life-Full Saps on Saku just for the Toxic Ink to go towards Kinu instead.
And now what did Kinu do? Did he go for the kill? Okay, the setup play is real, so buff the Saku is the game plan. It's okay, so Tsubaki coming in with a kind of tankier strat, right? He's tanking up the Noxalato, he's tanking up the Saku. Let's take a look at those stats. So +2 defense, so prepping for that physical damage coming its way from Size Munch, Gialis. Actually everything, physical damage all around except for the Volphy, of course, which actually does have damage into and actually 1/4 damage from the Tuz Vortex. So everything, it's getting prepared for the worst. And now it has Tornado online. Does a Tornado take the remaining 65%? It is an air specialist. I didn't catch the item just yet. We'll see if we can see it. Imagine it has a hand fan. That would be even extra wind damage.
Move the uppercut going towards Nox, not accomplishing much after all of those buffs. And the Tornado does get off towards Calibus, and it is enough all the way down. Calibus finds his way out of the match.
Yeah,
and that is a big win for Tsubaki.
Huge win. So knocking out the Calibus, the Tornado is going to be doing enough. So the trait Air Specialist, extra damage on wind techniques, and then the hand fan, an extra 15% on the wind techniques as well. Well done for Tsubaki. So one threat eliminated, 4 more to go. Can Tsubaki do a bit of a comeback? I mean, it looks a bit closer than the full Tems will show, right? It says 4 Tems on Marnie's side, but Volphy's dangerously low. Just any attack from any Tem will take it down. And then Gialis pretty much in a similar situation. So it's almost 3-2, if you will. Actually 2-2 because Kinu's low too. So this is pretty close here. What does Marnie want to swap in here now?
Potentially, well, I mean, Surnif is still a really tough one. It has to be built up before it'll stand a chance against this Nox. So instead, we do see the Volphy coming back in. I mean, potentially outspeeding with a Plague, but that won't do very much damage to Nox or Saku.
Yeah, nothing so far. We saw much the uppercut did with that +2 defense. It did like something like 5%. I didn't catch it exactly, but very minuscule. But yeah, I mean, Acid Reflux is online, but of course, I don't think Tsubaki's gonna make the mistake of forgetting about Team Elusive. So perhaps just a solid Wind Burst coming its way, and Dim Mag. That's how you get through the defenses there. 80% does put him into the trance trait though. Does Volphy have enough? No, it's going on the defense here with a solid bush. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Volphy survives this turn. Noxalotl in a little bit more dire straits after that Dim Mag. And Size Munch still looking healthy.
Yeah, Varzi, let me know if you can see it on your end. Do you have an item appearing for Noxalato on your end?
I do not.
Yeah, very interesting. It would have shown up by now, but maybe it hasn't been triggered. That might be it, but look at those stats, guys. That is +4 special attack, +5 special defense, and then +2. This is quite the raid boss. Huge boy Noxalato. Is he gonna be the secret sauce? We're gonna be finding out. So Windburst coming into Wolfie, trying to eat it up with the Gialis. That might actually be enough for Gialis. Let's see if it is enough.
We do have Seismunch going for the heat up as if it hasn't done enough already, but Gialis falls to the Windburst, more than enough from this Saku. Still taking advantage of its Lifeful Sap despite full HP.
Yeah, so solid attack in this Saku. I love what Tsubaki is doing here. He buffed it up. He had the Lifeful Sap, so still hanging out at 100 HP. But now we're in the danger zone a little bit. We're in Tsubaki's side because now a heat up is online. The thing is though, these guys are prepared, so they almost cancel each other out, right? So attack 100% increase on Seismunch, but both the defenses on Noxalato and Saku 100% increase in defensive power as well. So I think it kind of cancels each other out for sure.
Yeah, now with Cerny finding the board for Marnie, I was initially, before Cerny, thinking potentially swapping Kinu in for Nox, buff up Saku a little bit more. But now with Cerny out, I don't think you want to give up the pressure from Noxalotl, who now it shows is holding on to the pillow.
Yeah, oh, the pillow, that's why it's been recovering so much HP. Really nice tech. Now, this feels like a bit of a bait and switch, but it's definitely not. It's going on the offensive here, so Water Kind Lily connecting Noxalato, but look at how little it did. Let's see, this is the true testament. How much is a heat up Seismunch going to do? Oh, decent amount. Taking Noxalato back into the trance trait. Oh, and did you catch that, Rarzi? It cost the overexertion on the Seismunch, so only has to worry about the Cernif. And man, that Saku has to be max special attack because basically 50% health was eliminated from this Cernif. So well done, Tsubaki. Looks like he's turning things back around. It looked a little bit not in his favor, but he always gets out of these tricky situations so masterfully.
Tornado did a lot more than I was expecting. Although there's still quite a bit left to go. Cernif with 52%. We have seen time and time again, Cernif can go all the way down to 10 and heal itself back up no problem.
Yeah, as you said it, Vardy. Oh, going for Rylai's on Seismunch. Okay, all rest all around on the side of Tsubaki's side. Alright, so Tsubaki's Noxalato has been holding this acid reflux for quite some time here. So it wants to pull the trigger. One acid reflux will completely end Cernif's life. The only thing keeping him from pulling the trigger is the Wolfie in the back line. If you get Wolfie coming out, you completely waste the acid reflux.
That's what I feel like Marnie's thinking right now, is swap out this Cernif for Wolfie. Force the acid reflux onto Seismunch, who after that revitalize is looking very healthy again. But instead, Marnie stays in, goes for the water cutting Lily again. Just trying to do some damage. Knocks a lot back down below 50, and then the uppercut a little bit more, but 30% not enough for the trance. Acid reflux is coming through and will destroy Cerny.
Huge damage. As we said, that is the power of a +5 special attack. Out of here Cernif goes, and yes, the Wimber's enough to clean up the overexerted Seismunch. So Tsubaki in such a dominant position currently. That was the Wimber's, that wasn't Tornado, so the 3 Prio Tornado will be coming here, and Wolfie will be going down. So that is a GG. Marnefarmer going down. Tsubaki-chan feeling
another Tem. Marnie has to think about here, as I mean, I didn't expect Saku to hit as hard as it did, tornado after tornado, dealing half damage on a Tems that I felt it had no business doing that much for.
Yeah, definitely. That's the power of the Air Specialist trait and the power paired up with the hand fan. But let's see, guys, as we always say, this is a best of 3 series, and these guys are here to play. They're here to make the necessary adjustments, and these guys are no strangers to adapting to tough situations. So let's go ahead and see what they're gonna make some changes here. Tsubaki not changing up anything, going with the pig ban. That's what he liked. It worked out for him first time. But now the interesting question, what does Marnefarmer want to ban here?
I mean, Marnie's looking at the NID right now. Last time it was the Volarend ban first. If he wants to go in the same thought process, then I do think NID over Vola. NID just has so much potential here. But instead, looking towards Kinu again. And I'm sorry, I meant Noxolotl, not NID. Yeah, he does ban Kinu first instead.
And I can agree with him. Kinu didn't do so much himself in terms of damage, but he was the enabler. He was the one giving those defenses buff to Noxolotl. He's the one that did the Stonewall onto Saku. So yeah, he was the one that let those tanky boys, well, you know, be so tanky. So I think that was a solid ban. We'll see if that makes a big difference for Marnie here.
He does lead with Gialis, which I believe is the same as last time.
Yeah, he did indeed start with Gialis. I believe it was Gialis Calibus the opening for Marnefarmer, and it was Noxolotl Kinu opening for Tsubaki.
Yeah, so now Tsubaki's looking. I mean, he doesn't have his Kinu anymore, like you said, that was able to buff up both Nox and Saku so much. But he's still considering, there it is, the Noxolotl first pick, knowing how much potential it does still have, even without the protector buffs and the stone walls. Being able to madness buff, having that trance, still brings so much value to Tsubaki's team.
Yeah, you know, we didn't see it all in Swiss. The Noxolotl appeared a couple times or just a single time, but never ever as the opening pick. But Tsubaki saying, I feel comfortable with Noxolotl. This is what we're going for, and the double toxic start. And actually, wait a minute, I'm seeing a bit of a lack of win on Marnie's side. So this is why the toxic is getting so much out of Marnie, because he doesn't have any counter to the toxic. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's why Tsubaki has been banning the pig first both games now. Knowing taking down that tornado means that all of Tsubaki's toxic tems, including Volarend as well, pretty much go uncontested. Now we do see Size Munch as the second pick for Marnie. Going into our second bans now. Looking, I mean, does he want to potentially ban Vola again, just like last time? Doesn't want to have to deal with it. Maybe take down Saku so that Calibus has a little bit more strength, and even Wolfie. Oh, but he does go for the ban on Volarend instead. I guess he would rather deal with Saku's tornadoes over Vola's hyperkinetic strike.
Yeah, definitely. We don't know if that's an anaerobic or an aerobic, of course. So, I mean, almost equal wind pressure. But it has a little toxic techniques for the Sernif and the Kinu and the Nagai. So, I could definitely understand Marnie's decision there.
And second ban for Tsubaki's on Kinu again. But now looking, deciding who he wants to bring. Hovering over this Calibus again, and indeed he does, leading with 3 toxic tems. Now Marnie definitely has to think a little bit more about this Sernif. I don't know if it brings as much value against 3 toxic tems as it did previously.
Yeah, and so much toxic. And Marnefarmer just wasn't ready. I mean, maybe his game plan was going into this, maybe ban as much toxins as he can. Because it doesn't seem like his team was prepared for so much toxicity. You know, usually the Temtem community has no toxicity, but in this situation, we're pretty toxic in here.
Yeah, so Marnie does decide to bring Cerny through, and Tsubaki, I mean, Tsubaki has this Volcrane available if he wants it, but I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, now you've got 3 Toxic Tems and a Saku whose lone Tornado did about half to this Cerny last game.
Yeah, and you're definitely right, whereas the Cernif has been giving so many tamers, so many problems, so the fact that a single Tornado pretty much chunks half of the health, there's a clear answer. So no stall meta as we've been seeing from the previous games in the Swiss rounds. And yeah, the Naga did get picked up as the final piece of the puzzle.
Yes, now Marnie down to Naga or Calibus. He does decide to go with Calibus. Wants that Toxic over the Mental.
Alright, so here we go. Game number 2 of our quarter final. Tsubaki trying to get off his final game over Marnie. Is he going to be able to do it and move on to the actual quarterfinals? Or is Marnefarmer going to show what he's made of and push forward and try to get a game off on Tsubaki here? It looks a bit rough, but if anyone can do it, it is Marnefarmer.
Now, this time, I do like Tsubaki's lead more so than I did before. Definitely doesn't, I mean, of course, he loses his Kinu, loses all of those buffs, but he doesn't have to worry about this Gialis. Instead, we do see Gialis targeting Noxolotl and a heat up early on from Sizemunch, followed by the Toxic Ink towards Gialis, trying to get the 1 Toxic Tick through, and then a Toxic Ink on Nidrasil towards Sizemunch. Again, not too much damage, but there were 2 Toxic Ticks over there.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm confused slightly why maybe Tsubaki didn't go with the Spores play on the Sizemunch. His effective damage plus a couple more ticks of poison. The only thing I could think of is he's not running Spores perhaps. Maybe he's going something with a package like Toxic Ink, Narco Hit, Bark Shield, and Allergic Spread, because we did see he likes his defensive prowess, so maybe. But I felt like the Spores was definitely decent there, but maybe just not running it in the toolkit. But punishing both sides, so Toxic Ink to the right, Toxic Ink to the left, so not too shabby. You did give him the heat up, and melee synergy is online, so this is going to be a heavy hitting blow.
Tsubaki did decide to bring Bark Shield onto this Nidrasil. That would be absolutely huge. That will essentially negate the loss of Kinu, but still be able to buff up his physical defenses to take all these hits. But instead, it's a Crystal Bite coming first, knocks down to 61%, followed by the uppercut all the way into his trance range, 27%. Does get a nice little special defense buff.
Man,
and a narcoleptic hit towards Sizemunch does some nice damage as well. 17% remaining over there.
Yeah, with the E-Drink as well, keeping it awake for now. But man, I have to think this is like a 500 TVs on defense Noxolotl, a heat up uppercut, and a Crystal Bite from a Gialis, most likely high attack as well. That has to be like a 500 defense Noxolotl, because it's so insane how little damage it's doing. And it's almost like it had a Kinu buff there, but there's no Kinu buff, so that defensive is insane. Really good TVs coming out from Tsubaki-chan there. I just want to know, it did stop Noxolotl from attacking, most likely looking at a Narco Hit himself on Sizemunch just to end it there. But maybe that was the game plan, Marnie. You put him to, that's the one thing about trance trade, right? You do put him to sleep there, so it's pretty much you negate their attack a little bit like a hypnosis, except they just get crazy buffs afterwards.
So now, I don't think Tsubaki wants to leave this Nox in. Still facing down 2 very physical Tems. Only 37% remaining with no physical buffs, even with the 500 potential TVs towards his defense, that wouldn't be enough to survive another turn of this.
Yeah, so he has the natural TVs, but yeah, he doesn't have any additional stuff like Kinu buff there, so another attack like that definitely brings Noxalotl all the way down, so he has to be careful, most likely thinking about a swap out there. But we also gotta keep in mind, Crystal Bite no longer online, you only have things like Hook Kick, but Hook Kick, similar in damage, is still neutral damage on Noxel, so something like Hook Kick plus an Uppercut will end it. But if you keep Size Munch in, Nidrasil with an easy allergic spread will be ending Size Munch stay here.
Certainly, even if allergic spread isn't quite enough, certainly after the Tri-Apothecary, Toxic Ticks do their damage, Size Munch will go down. And we do see Tsubaki bringing Flying Octopus Calibus in to take any of these physical hits that he didn't want Noxalotl to fall to. As it was a good move, we do see hits and kicks and all of those physical hitting attacks going towards Calibus. Allergic spread is indeed enough to bring Size Munch down.
Yeah, so Marnie thinking Noxalotl was gonna stay in, and it would have definitely got the kill if it stayed in, but Tsubaki making the appropriate read there, bringing out Calibus. It did pretty much chunk 70%, so it wasn't completely free, but that allergic spread, as we mentioned, does clean up the Size Munch, so not too bad. Size Munch no longer an issue for Tsubaki here.
Taking down Size Munch doesn't mean it's over, though. Marnie does still have this Calibus, who, a little bit less damage now thanks to Nidrasil, although still pretty threatening towards Saku and Naga. Wolfie in the back still untouched, and Cerny not really looking as strong at the moment.
Yeah, you definitely don't want the Cerniv into a Nidrasil there.
We do see Cerny into Nidrasil.
Alright, so let's see what he got. One Watercolor Lily will completely annihilate this Calibus, so that's what he's thinking. And maybe you just eat up a Toxic Ink, hope to revitalize a little bit later with the Nature Synergy, perhaps with the Wolfie. That's probably what he's thinking about. But we had this conversation earlier in the Swiss rounds. It was a similar team to Marnefarmer, and the biggest question that stayed there was, how do you take down the Nidrasil? Marnefarmer finding himself in a bit of a similar situation. The only clear answer as it stands is Dakialis, but it's about half health now, so once that goes down, the question arises one more time, what's taking down Nidrasil? Ooh, it is the Bark Shield, Varzi. Insane defensive stats.
See, Bark Shield, although Noxalotl not knocked into trance after that hit, means that he is certainly in range of taking some pretty massive damage.
Yeah, and actually overexerted for that Bark Shield there. And I'm actually, wait a minute, Varzi, did you catch what the Cerniv did? Because I think it rested.
Shy Shield.
Oh, Shy Shield. I'm so sorry. What am I talking about? Shy Shield, of course. But man, Sweatband insane because 100% stamina after Shy Shield. That is insane. But yeah, as you said, Varzi, Noxalotl would normally be going down here, but it just received the Bark Shield thanks to Nidrasil, so that's +2 defense. As we said last game, that's 100% increase in defensive power. So maybe not enough with this Hook Kick here, and actually not going to be keeping it in.
Calibus coming back out for Gialis, potentially expecting some toxic techniques going their way, but then the Water Cutting Lily doing Tsubaki a favor, hitting Nox into the trance, letting it heal a few times. He does take away Nox's attacking turn while Nidrasil is overexerted and has to rest. So Tsubaki does have to take a hold for a moment, but I think the trance is still a win.
Yeah, I think it's just like a double-edged sword a little bit. You want to do damage, you want to not just skip out on a turn, but you attack Noxalato, you bring him into trans traits. So take a look at the stats one more time. That's 2 trans traits, plus 4 special attack, plus 4 special defense. Ah man, a double-edged sword indeed. If you had enough pressure, of course. But I think Marnefarmer was just trying to get anything out into Tsubaki there. But there we go, going on the defense here, so increasing +2 defense, trying to mitigate these toxic inks.
A good job with it, as it only does 20% damage. The Noxalotl going for the rest after being strangled. So now another turn where Nox can't attack.
Yeah, so no crazy acid reflux with +4 attack, sorry, +4 special attack. I do think at 68% health, +4 special attack would easily one-shot the Surnif as we saw in the previous game. So really good strangle for Marnefarmer. But the question, I mean, Surnif just doesn't have the oomph in his water current lilies. He needs a little bit more aggression. You know, maybe a neutral technique like a double kick or something. He needs something to do some damage, but of course most likely does not run it in the moveset.
Now with Wolfie coming out, that kind of surprises me a little bit. I feel like Wolfie would have been a nice swap in later on. Finally let Noxalotl go for its acid reflux, bring Wolfie into Surnif's spot, and force acid reflux on the Calibus to do essentially nothing. But I guess Marnie's got a different play in mind, bringing Wolfie in sooner rather than later for the Calibus, leaving Surnif out, potentially buffing itself up a little bit more.
Yeah, trying to get prepared, as you said, RZ, for that acid reflux. But it's tough. I feel like almost Tsubaki could just stay with these 2 Temtems right here, and Marnie wouldn't even have an answer for it. So it's just it's looking pretty rough as it stands. I just don't. Maybe I'm missing something, but just the lineup that Marnefarmer has is rough against these exact 2 Temtems that Tsubaki has. I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, so we do see Acid Reflux now only hitting Calibus, thanks to Team Elusive, but it does do quite a bit of damage.
Yeah.
Another Bark Shield.
Man, this is getting carried away, and quite a bit is an understatement. Over 50% on a Toxic Tem. Insane stuff. Special force, special attack, not messing around. And yeah, as you said, Rosie, another one. That's +4 all around. Okay, we thought Noxalotl got carried away last game. This one, a little bit crazier. This is insane Noxalotl stats all around.
Tsubaki is not mixing Kinu at all with these Bark Shields.
Yeah, and really good game plan. I mean, I don't think too many stuff get over this. I mean, even if you had special attacker like Grandpa, Aerobic Birds, even the usual 2 vines that kind of get through Noxalotl at this stage, if it was able to set up in front of those Temtems as well, at this current stage these Tems are at, there's very few Temtems that can even contest with them right now. And actually, Dust Vortex doing more than a handful, but unfortunately puts it back into trance. So that's maxing it out. +5, +5, +4. If he gets off another Bark Shield, I don't think it's necessary, because it just might not be necessary. But man, that would be a maxed out Noxalotl. I've never seen one before, so maybe Tsubaki does it for a little bit of style points.
I would love to see Tsubaki handle this Calibus, bring Saku out, and then start Bark Shielding on Saku.
Yeah, that would be absolutely insane. But yeah, as we've been seeing, it's turn 10 and these two Temtems have just been holding the fort down for Tsubaki. I don't actually think Acid Reflux is online, or am I missing something, Rarzy? I can't remember if I'm counting it right.
No, Acid Reflux shouldn't be online yet. But we do see Cerny coming back out, kind of risking it.
So that's such a weird interaction. So it had alert status, but the plague cleared the alert status because of the overexhaustion and the trap. But then the trance trait, because it wasn't alerted anymore, gave it the sleep status and the regen. So so much status conditions going on in just that one turn.
Yeah, it gets pretty complicated to follow all of the different statuses now that we have so many techniques that'll put two of them on. I mean, before, I think the only technique that comes to mind that would have done two statuses prior was hallucination.
Yeah, and what was it too? It was exhaustion and
trap, I believe.
Okay. And now we got a handful, right? Volphy with the plague, the bush from Volphy and the Cernif. But let's see, and wow, the pillow doing so much, almost as much as the revitalized, but Marnie keeping everything rather healthy.
Yeah, so now Noxolotl wakes up again. Potentially could try for another Acid Reflux, but I mean, who knows? This Calibus could come back out. That would be enough to take it down.
So 100% Acid Reflux is online, and I dare say, as special attack +5, is it 100 to 0? Oh, no, +2 special defense, so kind of balances out a bit. If there wasn't any special defense on the Cernif, I feel like it would go all the way down from 100 to 0, but I don't think it'll go too low.
Ooh, but there it is though. Cerny does have Bush online as well, so he'll protect himself for this turn, and with the synergy, get +4 special defense.
And yeah, literally, I feel like no tamer has done too much, but I mean, little by little is getting the job done. And oh man, almost to the poison tick range. Gonna be surviving by about 2% there. And yeah, Marnefarmer's game plan has been gunned down the Noxolotl over and over, but it's almost like going against a Cernif mirror or just a Cernif matchup where you bring the Cernif low and then Bush and Revitalize. Bush and Revitalize, that's what the trance trait is providing for Tsubaki. But I understand why he's not going into Nidrasil, because he doesn't have any effective damage on Nidrasil. It's a lose-lose situation no matter where you go into. Tsubaki, as we keep saying, just holding it down with just these two Temtems alone, and Marnefarmer just having such a tough time getting through both of these Temtems. And yeah, +4 defense. Not even the Gialis in the back line with no heat up anymore can get the job done.
Oh, but we do see the Bush and then Revitalize, followed by the Acid Reflux. So I mean, we'll see how much damage it does do now with the +4. It's still a lot. It still certainly was not something to laugh about. Cerny is in danger out here, but with all of these defensive buffs, it's not nearly as much damage as Tsubaki would have liked.
Yeah, so I wonder if the win condition here, I mean, I guess for Marnie would be to stall it out, but Tsubaki with 5 Temtems, so Tsubaki could just stay with both these two Temtems on the board. I don't think Marnie could even move these guys. There's no win techniques. Yeah, we're heading, I think a turn 30 is in our future, Rarzy. I know he doesn't want to concede because it just feels bad. You want to make sure you do everything you can. But it's a bit of a feels bad moment for sure. We haven't had a game quite like this just yet.
Let's see. Marnie's trying something different now. He's gotten 2 Bush off of Cerny, buffing him up a little bit more. Now bringing Gialis in for Volphy. Easily, well, okay, not as easily taking that narcoleptic hit. Followed by the top attacks. Gialis does have to fall.
On the entry, intended to go after Volphy, catches the Gialis, and that is 100% GG. You lost your physical damage dealer. Everything right now that Marnefarmer has is half effective damage to both of these 2 Temtems on Tsubaki's board. Tsubaki doesn't have to do a thing except, you know, just attack a couple times, but these 2 guys, there's just not enough gas in the tank, or you know, fire in the fireplace to do the power he needs to take over the Noxalato and the Nidrasil, especially once Gialis goes down. It's a really tough position, and I think Marnefarmer did see that happening. So now we just finished up with the top 16. This is officially the quarterfinals of the Crystle Cup. Tsubaki making it through over Marnefarmer, and Alola taking down Arkham Knight. Can they keep their momentum going, trying to secure a spot into the semifinals, one step closer to that money prize, one step closer to the finals? And yeah, you guys said it here, Alola definitely has quite the interesting team. And maybe, Rosie, we might have missed a memo as well on the pig, because Alola going 7-0 so far in this tournament, working with the pig herself.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Alola's team is going to counter what we just saw from Tsubaki pretty well. Bringing in Pig and Vola means that there will be wind presence on the team, along with 2 fire Tems means that Nidrasil won't be able to do what we just saw it do so well. So first ban for Tsubaki does come down to Vola, leaving Alola to pick the pig, lead with the wind. Now Tsubaki thinking about what he wants to bring with him here.
Alright, so Alola does get the pig, and Tsubaki going with what works for him, picking up the Noxalato again. Kinu's open, and actually Alola going with the Naga ban as the first ban there.
Yeah, so Tsubaki bringing Kinu along with his Noxalotl. Alola looking at Volphy or Nidrasil. Ooh, maybe a little bit of Gialis. I mean, there are so many options here for Alola that are guaranteed to do a lot of work here.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see the answer from Alola for the Noxalato. I guess, of course, the Gialis is a good one, but that's the only physical pressure. The rise with the burns, back-to-back burns to 6.2%, I guess can eventually get the job done.
Yeah, I think that Pig and Rise will be a Pig, Rise, and Gialis would be the difference makers for Nox. Although Tsubaki did get to bring Kinu through, which means physical defense will also be increased on this Noxalotl.
Tsubaki thinking about eliminating that speed control from Alola's corner. Thinking about the raise, it is the ones with the embers. Maybe selling in on the Volphy, but the Volphy... thought Volphy wasn't too good. We saw Marnefarmer have such a tough time with his Volphy against Tsubaki's team. But okay, going with the Volphy ban. Oh, for the Dust Vortex, perhaps on the Volcrane. Okay, I can see it.
Yeah, Volcrane certainly would do some work here for Tsubaki, leading in versus Mix, potentially Gialis, Nitrosil.
Alright, and things are looking very similar to the previous matchup we saw Tsubaki in, so identical to game number 1 in that matchup. But Alola trying to change things up, going with the Drakash and then the Nitrosil as well for themselves.
Now running Drakash kind of makes you think that Alola wants to bring this Rise as well just to get that synergy. But now with Volcrane in the end, Gialis or Rise, neither of them looks all that perfect. Deciding to go with Gialis instead, probably the better choice.
Alright, so here we go. The quarterfinals is underway. Alola versus Tsubaki. I believe Ronin and versus Enigma here. So a little bit of a club rivalry on top of this rivalry. The pig did get to come through, so maybe that's the difference maker for Alola's team. I know Marnie only had that one win, so maybe with the pig they're able to do a bit more. But the pig, never the hardest hitting, you know, he was always there for support, but maybe a different type of TV train there, or maybe trained up a little bit different.
We certainly saw some unorthodox Tems earlier on, hitting really hard with Tornado. Tems that used to be more on the defensive side, now potentially with full special attack investment. If this pig also runs that special attack investment, Tornado will certainly hit hard.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. We'll see how they want to start off. Of course, I mean, the best thing, Noxalato is very similar to Mix, right? If you can get it right above 30%, and then you go with the wave of attacks, you're gonna bring it down before the trans goes. So that's the idea there. We'll see if Alola is able to accomplish that mission. But keeping things standard, maybe just Wind Burst and Crystal Spike. I feel like that brings it around 30%. So Crystal Spike, let's see how much it does. Okay, solid 30%. And Wind Burst as well, and going too deep, a little too deep, you know. That's what she said, but man, going a little too far into the red. Gonna trigger the trance trait.
Yeah, and after watching that Wind Burst, how much damage it just did, this pig certainly has that special attack investment along with the hand fan.
Yeah, so up it goes, and that's exactly what Alola did not want to see. There's no physical damage either except Gialis. Pig is special, Mix is special, Drakash is special, so that +3 special defense already gonna be paying off quite well for Tsubaki. We'll see how Alola makes the adjustments too. But look, Varzi, I think you're completely right. So very similar how we saw the Saku work. Alola going with the hand fan on the pig, so those tornadoes, those wind bursts hitting that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, I guess pig is kind of the mono wind type Saku anyway. They're both just little ball shapes that blow really hard.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of similarities. They even, you know, one of them has Stonewall too. Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, +3 special defense. I feel like the double up again wouldn't get the job done.
If Mix does have Cage, though, on Alola's side, we could potentially see the Cage Tornado or even just another Cage Burst going towards this Noxalotl.
You think we're going to get the Cage? We will see. I mean, maybe the game plan all along is you kind of treat it like a Surnip that's getting out of control in terms of defensive power, as you kind of ignore it and then try to kill everything else to the left of it, and then try to deal with Noxalotl at the end. Is that the game plan? Because we saw Marnefarmer go into Noxalotl over and over again. Maybe the game plan is going into the Temtem to the left of him, or the right of him, and then see if you could try to win against Noxel in the end game.
Yeah, that could have potentially made things go differently for Marnie earlier. Certainly Alola has her own unique playstyle, not going to do the same things that we've seen others do previously. Making sure to take her time though, doesn't want to make a mistake, wants to make the proper read.
Alright, so Noxalado will be pulled out. Kinu is out, so trying to buff up the other beefy Tem, which is the Saku here. So Tornado intended for Noxalado, catches a Kinu, which is fine because it still does heavy damage. But wait a minute, Crystal Spike, Kinu is gonna be out. No, wow, wait a minute. Oh, the Rock Shield. You know, Tsubaki, one of the few players not going with grease on their Kinu there and paying off so much, because Kinu without that Rock Shield 100% would have gone down. So the Rock Shield paying off so much, and that might be the way to go. Forget the cage, forget the Plague stuff. You want to save your Kinu when you can, and now Tsubaki could retreat the Kinu and save it for another day. Or not another day, but another Kinu buff.
Yeah, bringing Kinu back in later on just to get that buff towards Nox would be very, very big.
And of course, Rarzi, now that the Rock Shield has been revealed, Mix does have access to Cage, so a simple Cage Wimburst does end the Kinu's life, but it's not too much of a proactive play there. So not going with the Cage. Going with Crystal Spike again, so 55 down to 35, 20% damage, and a solid Bamboozle. Maybe trying to eat a Tornado. Oh, catching the Urshel onto the Pig.
Yeah, great play there with 3 Toxic Kicks remaining, 50% health gone from Pig. Hit him with another one and you don't have to worry about Fainted Curse.
Yeah, that is the beauty of those poison ticks. You're exactly right, Rarzi. So I think that's the game plan from Tsubaki here. But yeah, Tsubaki playing really sharp so far. He has Noxalado right where you want him, a little bit above 30. But I just don't think you have enough to do the full 35%. Another Crystal Spike and a Tornado. That's a +3 special defense. Is Noxalado actually impenetrable? Can anything take it down? I know Feather Gatlings can, but man, it's looking so strong in these matchups.
Yeah, I mean, right now a Tornado would be the best bet, but instead Pig's going to retreat back, bring Nidrasil out. Ooh, but a good prediction. Noxalado swaps back out for Kinu again. Kinu getting another protector buff towards the Saku, making him a little bit beefier. Along with the Lifeful Sap, wants to survive anything that might come his way. Psy Surge now hitting Saku. Only doing 18%. After the Lifeful Sap, hardly doing 7%.
Yeah, looking a bit rough there. So Tsubaki just back-to-back solid reads there. Knows you're not going to attack into a Trance Noxalado because you're not trying to give me those buffs. So that's a free Kinu swap in. And there we go. We're not trying to see Noxalado here. So caging all the Temtems. Kinu gets trapped in. Allergic Spread is going to end the Kinu there. But almost what Tsubaki wanted, because he was gonna swap out the Kinu anyways, so maybe trapping in his his own Nidrasil, or Alola trapping in their own Nidrasil.
Yeah, that certainly didn't work out perfectly. I mean, it's nice for Alola to get rid of that Kinu, not let another protector buff go off on either of these Tems that Tsubaki wants to buff up. But now we do have Volcrane out. Mix is in danger. Mix is in danger, and Mix is still in that cage.
Yeah,
So
it is cage, and honestly, one Stone Ball coming out from a max attack Volcrane will go all the way down. So with Mix not able to protect themselves with something like Bamboozle, of course, this Stone Ball is gonna be heavy. So yeah, it's gonna be a double kill here with the cage. As we always said, a bit of a double-edged sword. So energy manipulation as a final hoorah. 3 prio. But a wind burst. Oh! Outspeeding the Volcrane. Very nice, Alola.
Yeah, that was definitely a trick up Alola's sleeve, not letting Volcrane attack just yet. And now Mix no longer trapped by this cage, able to swap out. Drakash certainly wouldn't mind taking anything from Volcrane.
Yeah, so, you know, Volcrane usually a little speedy and Nidoso usually a little slower, so definitely a handful of speed TVs on that Nidoso to outspeed the Volcrane like that. Oh, but you know what it was? The 1 prio Stone Ball. Tsubaki going with the 1 prio Stone Ball to make sure the 60% Mix went all the way down, so I think that's more of what it was there. Maybe not too fast Nidoso. It still looks like a handful of speed, but I think it was more of that 1 prio move, the Stone Ball, of course. Maybe if he went for Embers, it was a different story, but I think it was that 1 prio move, unless I'm wrong and it is a speedy Nidoso and he did go for Embers.
No, I'd imagine Tsubaki did go for the Stone Ball. Embers would have done damage, but you can't confirm Embers would be enough, absolutely, to drain 60% off of a Mix. So I think that it was the 1 prio Stone Ball just taking advantage of it, going for the sneaky plays. But now Pig comes back out. Pig and Mix, the best of friends. Volcrane doesn't want anything to do with it now. Coming back for Nox. A really good read from Alola, bringing Tornado back on. Ooh, but a Rusho, that's not going to be enough just yet. 55% left on Mix.
Yeah, but very close. One more technique, and I think Noxalato does have Acid Reflux online. But Alola, there's no cage on Tsubaki's side, so Alola could just retreat it for now, and that's a free Puppet Master triggered for Alola there, so not too bad. But man, Noxalato, literally the bane of a lot of these tamers' existence, having such a tough time dealing with it. I mean, Pig is a really strong wind tem here, especially with that wind fan, or sorry, the hand fan. But not even a solid Tornado will single-handedly take down that 35%. So it's almost giving it those free buffs. And if you don't go Noxalato, you gotta go into Saku, and that's a +2/+2 Saku already, which is wind damage, which is half damage, so it's so tough for Alola currently.
He does bring out Flying Octopus Calibus though to take the Tornado instead of Nox. A lot of damage out there. Down 37%, but now the Crystal Spikes. Is this going to be enough?
Oh!
Indeed it is. Calibus goes down with no impact whatsoever for Tsubaki.
Yeah, so a bit of a misstep there. I actually think Noxalato would have survived those attacks there, but the Calibus was the sacrificial lamb. And now Noxalato is coming out here, so Tornado no longer online, so he's gonna have to settle with a Wind Burst. And another Crystal Spike is online, of course, as there's 0 prio. But Wind Burst and Crystal Spike, I didn't think the Tornado Crystal Spike was gonna kill, so I definitely don't think the Wind Burst Crystal Spike kills. But that was Alola's game plan, unless they did read. I mean, I think they just wanted to do damage onto anything in that slot. And Tsubaki just preserving his carry, the Noxalato, so far. So I think they're both playing it really well. In terms of Temtem, Alola looking pretty solid still with all 5 Temtems remaining.
Yeah, and Alola deciding to bring Nitrosil in for this Pig. Swapping out Mix as well. Going for Gialis. Potentially expecting Acid Reflux coming through. Doesn't want to take these hits.
And you're absolutely right, Barzy. So the beautiful Acid Reflux is going to be coming out. Nitrosil going to be going down. And Gialis is about 20%. Plus the Poison Tick. Oh, you're so not going to be too much value. Catching the acid reflux first.
Yeah, so now Pig can come back out with a little bit less risk.
Yeah, so let's see what's in the back line. So Nidrasil does get brought down.
We could see Drakash as well just try and do damage to Saku, potentially knock him out, bring Tsubaki down to just Volcrane and Nox.
Yeah, maybe Alola doing exactly what we were thinking. Handle everything except Noxalato and see if you could take it down just based off stamina and having more Temtems than them at the end. Maybe that's the game plan for Alola here. But I agree with you, Rarzy. I do think Drakash is looking solid, but Alola doesn't agree with us. Going with the Pigapec one more time, so maybe going with a Crystal Bite Tornado. Oh, Tornado not online, right? It retreated before.
Yeah, we won't see the Tornado this turn. You know, Alola has to be thinking as well. This Volcrane in the back for Tsubaki does a lot of damage towards Mix. Gialis could certainly handle Pig. Alola, I don't know how she wants to handle this Volcrane, but I think she needs to keep that in mind and try and keep whatever win condition she feels she has safe and able to deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, oh, the hook kick brings it into trans trait one more time. And I think Alola is a guy. I'm seeing it in chat, so we'll go with he. Apologize, guys. Apologize. So, Bamboozle does get the Ursul, so fine read from Alola. And yeah, so, you know, you mentioned, Rarzy, the best thing to go into Volcrane is actually Gialis. Those hook kicks do effective damage onto Volcrane. Of course, Double Gash a little bit as well. So definitely wants to preserve the Gialis on Alola's side. Now I feel like the Drakash does a lot of work to Saku too. I mean, it's a tanky Saku, but still, you know, the fire versus nature. But I think I can see it the same, you know, going against each other as well. Those tornadoes, the Wimbers are going to be hard hitting on Drakash as well. So I understand why Alola hasn't brought it out just yet.
How we do see Crane coming out to take this Tornado. Ooh, down to 50% already. And then the Crystal Bite going towards Volcrane as well. 41% remaining. Certainly Gialis will outspeed Volcrane later on.
Yeah, so solid read from Tsubaki, eating up that Crystal Bite, and it would be so close if Gialis is able to get off a hook kick here. Volcrane obviously all the way down. Unfortunately though, Saku does have that 3-prow tornado. However, it depends on the speed of Saku. I knew back in the day, if you don't go with speed investment on Saku, 3-prow tornado doesn't outspeed too many things. I think Saku, I forget the speed nowadays, but it just reached over 100 speed in the last patch. So it was definitely a slow tornado. So Gialis, one of the fastest Tems, if not the fastest Tem in the game, could possibly outspeed this tornado here. But Tsubaki maybe gonna play it safe, just bring back the Noxalato. Alright, gonna retreat the Gialis. And here we go. Drakash hasn't seen the board just yet, so here he is. And Rarzy, the first time we see a Luma Drakash in a competitive setting, it's gonna be insane. But sorry, off topic. But there we go. Sharp Rain intended for Volcrane. Oh. Tough.
That will be it for Pig. No Fainted Curse today.
Yeah, absolutely right, Rarzy. The Pig 100% down. There's no Revitalize or anything on Alola's team, so Pig will be going down due to those poison ticks. So now,
how much can Drakash do to this Saku in a single hit?
You know, a lot more of it didn't have the Kinu buffs there, so with those Kinu buffs it's gonna be rough. I feel like it would have been 2-shot, but now with those Kinu buffs I feel like it's a solid 3. But we gotta see the damage, of course. So Volcrane back out, trying to eat some fire damage. So this is the Hellfire, so Saku 100. Hey, there we go, almost 30%. And the Tornado is gonna get the kill though, so solid read. Either goes into Noxalato or catches the Volcrane. So Alola doing really well so far. And yeah, just sacrificing the pig, doing enough. So the pig actually doing really good stuff this game, number 1.
All right, so now 2 Tems remaining for Tsubaki, Noxalotl and Saku versus Alola's Mix, Drakash, and Gialis.
Yeah, and I think Tsubaki-chan's Saku just rested, right? So I do think Tornado is back online. So, you know, this is looking pretty good for Alola here. It's only a +1 defense since Alola was able to deal with Kinu early on. Fire Tornado is going to be going off. Saku, let's see, 71%. Oof, that was huge damage despite the +2 defense. Okay, but the hook kick putting it to sleep. So almost using it as a little hypnosis, if you will. Just going to stop it from getting off attack there.
Hook kick is just like Hidouchi if you're hitting a Nox into trance.
Exactly right. Yeah, the Hidouchi guys. RIP Heat Up. RIP Hidouchi. No RIP Gialis. We all thought RIP Gialis, but Gialis, look at here in the top 16 in our quarterfinals for the Crystle Cup. But let's see, Hellfire did, what did we say? I should definitely write this down, but I don't think it was 30%. So I do think a double up ends the Saku here. So Hellfire, we'll see again. Okay, almost. It was 30.
Followed by the Crystal by going towards Nox instead into the red. Triggering trance. Oh no, never mind. He's now alerted with the acid reflux.
Yeah, very interesting. Gialis drops down. That +4 special defense, way too much. But wait a minute, was this a bit of a blunder? Because you could have killed the Saku. You could have killed the Saku. We just saw Crystal Bite outspeed that Wimbers. So Saku could have gone down. But maybe not the issue here. Oh, I think Tsubaki-chan is going to clutch this. Because, I mean, wait a minute. Alola has Crystal Spike. Crystal Spike gets rid of the Saku. But yeah, this has been the #1 question of these quarterfinals. How do you take down Noxalato? So Crystal Spike, Saku drops down. But man, how do you do it? Noxalato just looking so beastly.
There is nothing here that Mix can do that'll bring Nox down in this turn.
Yeah, Crystal Spike, we're gonna see, so about 25. Oh, and actually a decent amount. Wait a minute. One more of those? Wait, it is enough. It is enough, right? Wait. Guys, we need to start writing down what help it starts at. I actually think it's enough. Crystal Spike, I think it just did 20%, but no, the pillow ruining it for Alola here. Oh, and the other region. What? Wait, why did the mix rest?
I really don't know. I mean, Mix is back up to full stamina, but it won't be able to utilize that. I figured as long as Crystal Spikes wouldn't have overexerted before, it would have been worth using. But now we've knocked Nox back into trance with 20, now 34% HP. Oh no.
Wow, such a close.
To figure out how to take down Nox.
Yeah, so we spectated from Alola's corner, so let's go hop into Tsubaki's corner for this game #2 of our quarterfinals. Let's see if any changes are made from Alola's side. I mean, what did they go? Oh, they went for Naga first. Naga has got the first ban. We'll see if history repeats itself here.
I think in this instance, even if Tsubaki loses Nox, I mean, being able to bring this Volorend through would be nice and big. And still, Naga goes down first. Alola just lets Tsubaki bring Nox in.
Maybe realizing he knows how to play against it now after playing a full game, such a tight game at that. I think Alola now knows, I think he has the information he needed, so maybe feeling a bit more comfortable going up against an Axolotl. We gotta see, because I mean, prioritizing the Nagai's over it. I mean, I can see it though. You got double fire in your team. Those Nagai's Furies are gonna be insane. But Tsubaki maybe changing up the game plan here, going with a Volcrane perhaps turn 1.
He's back on this Nox now. I don't think there's any world where he doesn't bring... No, he's going Saku first. Come on now, Tsubaki.
Okay, so perhaps going with some little Bark Shield shenanigans if he picks up the Nidrasil too. But wait a minute, so he leaves behind Noxolotl, he leaves behind Kinu. Yeah, I mean, these are what pro players are made of. You don't want to do the same strategy every single turn. If you mix up your playstyle, if you mix up those decision making, your opponent can't keep up with that, or you know, can't catch those specific reads. So I like what Tsubaki's doing here. Of course, he's playing on the blue side now, so making different decisions as well. So maybe trying something a little different here. So leaving Noxolotl behind, maybe telling Alola, I dare you to ban it. I have a different win condition. Perhaps the Saku, perhaps the Volorend that we saw banned previously. Very interesting though.
Yeah, so Tsubaki does lead with Saku Vola, giving him Urushiel's synergy if he were to want it. Now Alola considering some fire, maybe wants to bring Rise or Trikash in. Indeed, we do see Rise now looking for the ban. It has to be Noxolotl.
Oh, there we go. So hey, Tsubaki, you don't pick it up, it will be banned because it's so problematic, and it does get banned. So now we got to see what Tsubaki has to work with. Of course, Noxolotl probably wasn't the only thing, of course, but you know, Kinu got left behind, Nidrasil's still here, so there's still some potential. Maybe a Saku carry here. But Saku took so much damage from that Drakash, and now the raise is here. If it's a special attack raise at that, the Saku's not going to be hanging out too much longer. Or for too long.
So now we do see the Volcrane coming through. Stone Ball will do some nice damage towards Rise.
So I definitely think you need Volphy just in case the Calibus is picked up for the double fire potential that Alola seemingly wants to go into here. But Volcrane with those Stone Balls though, that kind of checks the fires too, so a bit rough.
As now Alola decides to bring Mix and Drakash in. Now certainly Alola had a trick up his sleeve earlier, keeping Mix safe from Volcrane. So maybe not as much fear there as we would have if we were in this situation. But Tsubaki does decide to bring Kinu in, and now it's between Nid and Calibus. He wants the water presence. Goes for his Calibus, leaving behind Nidrasil and Noxolotl. Two Tems that were, I mean, fundamental. They were so important and impactful in getting Tsubaki to this point.
Yeah, so definitely a different game here for the game number 2 of our quarterfinals. Let's see Tsubaki trying to secure a spot in the semifinals. Alola not trying to go down without a fight, trying to get one game over Tsubaki, make it go to a game 3. we're gonna see who has more to give, or who has, who wants it a bit more. So starting off super hot there, not even too much decision making. Wimbers, Embers connecting on the Volren. And let's see, we didn't see the Volren so far. Is this an anaerobic? Yes, it is. It is an anaerobic Volren for Tsubaki. And man, already gunning down the pig there. So the pig dropping so low already. One more attack, one more noxious bomb, and the pig should be dropping down due to those poison ticks.
A lot of damage done early. And certainly, I mean, this is an anaerobic Volren, so it won't be able to get that speed back that it lost due to Rise's Demoralize. But it's not the end of the world, as it won't be using Hyper.
Yeah, and we're seeing here why Alola wanted to gun it down so much. Everything in Alola's roster is special attack. Volfi's special attack, Drakash's special attack, Mix, Raise, Pig. So if Vola is able to set up, if it's able to go max special defense, there's very few things. Maybe the Embers, the Fires, the Embers tick little by little can get the job done, but everything on Alola's side is special attack. So maybe foregoing the Noxalato because you have the big boy anaerobic Volren here.
Volren could certainly play the same role as Nox did. Although it can't heal itself, it's only going to be tanky, so this Kinu becomes even more important if that's the route that Tsubaki wants to go.
Yeah, so let's see. I mean, Alola knows it's coming for the pig. The pig did move first, so the Bamboozle could be coming onto itself, keep it relatively safe. And Tsubaki maybe not trying to take more damage on the Volren since it is such a win condition, maybe retreating it for now. But we will see. So Drakash hitting the board here. Oh, keeping the Volren in, so man, it's going to be dropping pretty low here.
Yeah, and then another Noxious Bomb, not going to accomplish very much, only 16% damage towards this Drakash. I know we do see Urushiel towards Rise, dealing 50% damage over the course of the next 4 turns.
Alright, so Hellfire is online with the Fire synergy next to it as well, so that is a 3 prio move. It is a special attack. Let's take a look. So +2 special defense, so little by little Tsubaki starting to set up Volren. He does have Kinu in the backline, so if you're able to squeeze out a Revitalize a little bit down the road, Volren, huge problem for Alola, so that's what he's thinking here.
That just means that if he wants to leave Volren in again now, puts us in that much more danger, although Rise does swap out for Pig, losing Hellfire synergy if Drakash wanted to go that way. And we do see Volcrane coming out for Volren, doesn't want to take any of that damage, and Saku as well, knowing that that would be very, very hard. So instead we have Volcrane not taking too much damage, and Calibus probably taking it less.
Yeah, so such well played for Tsubaki, anticipating the Hellfire, so bringing out his Temtems that are best able to eat it, of course. So water Temtem and a Fire Temtem, so barely 10% each, a little bit more on the Calibus there, but really well done anticipating that from Alola. And now, I believe Drakash has Mud Showers if Alola is running that. And then Volcrane has Stone Ball, which should be effective as well. Or sorry, I mean Calibus is here too. We saw the Aqua Stone. Drakash cannot take one of those. That's 4x damage. Water, Earth, both being effective into water. Or sorry, the other way around. So Drakash not feeling too comfortable looking down this Calibus. But knowing that, maybe just goes for the pig instead, perhaps. A solid Embers onto the pig, the Poison Tick plus the Burn Tick might be enough to clean it out without having to deal with Fainted Curse. Oh.
And this pig could always go for the tornado too, which would deal a lot of damage towards Calibus.
Yeah, it would. We saw it before how much it did, but also we saw it earlier in game 1. It also has a sharp rain, so both earth and fire Tems are gonna be retreated because of the presence of those water techniques. But forget the water, going with what you said, Rarzi, the tornado does get pulled off and does a huge damage. Oh!
Toxic Ink and the Toxic Ticks taking down Pig, avoiding Fainted Curse, and dropping the only Wind Tem on Alola's team.
Yeah, pretty much picture perfect. There it goes. So Calibus, you took some damage, but you got rid of that wind threat there.
Mix and Wolfie staring down at Kinu and Calibus. Kinu certainly should be swapping out here. Doesn't want to take this Crystal Spikes. Although, potential swap-ins, I mean, if Tsubaki wanted to bring Volcrane in for the Spikes, that would give Wolfie an opportunity later on, of course. Doesn't currently have Dust Vortex.
Yeah, it doesn't have Dust Vortex, and even so, it wouldn't be doing too much damage. I mean, the Plague onto the Calibus is looking pretty solid. Crystal Spike onto Kinu could be pretty solid too. It's been revealed from the previous game, Kinu does not have Grease, so a Plague onto Kinu followed by the Crystal Spike might actually keep in the Kinu, if it doesn't go down, of course, because that alone might actually end the Kinu there. But if it doesn't, Kinu will be trapped, because we did see from the game number 1, it has a Rock Shield, but going instead for the Calibus, is it going Sharp Stab, or sorry, Crystal Spike on Calibus as well?
Yeah, we do see Crystal Spikes coming towards Calibus, doubling up on that spot. Calibus goes down once again, not with too much impact. A little bit better than first game, of course, but still not as much as Tsubaki would have probably liked.
Yeah, so one Temtem apiece. The Calibus goes down for Tsubaki, and of course the Pigapek down for Alola. So tying things up, but Saku's coming out to play here. And Saku just a heavy damage dealer so far, but hasn't started a setup just yet. No Lifeful Sap, of course. No Kinu buffs. No Bark Shields, I believe. We didn't see a Bark Shield from Saku, right? It was Nidraso applying the Bark Shield onto Saku. Or am I missing? Did you remember, Rarzi? Did you remember if we see a Saku Bark Shield?
I know that Nidrasil did it. I don't believe that Saku did. I think that Urushiel is instead of that Bark Shield.
Yeah, but maybe not too essential since it's all special attack. I believe Bark Shield is +1 special defense, so not that crazy. Or I might be confusing with Stonewall. Bark Shield might just be 2 defense. But there we go. Stonewall is a little special defense, so +1 special defense should hold it down for a bit.
Tsubaki does leave Kinu in to take the Crystal Spikes in order to get that Stonewall off for Saku. Kinu now down 44.4%.
Yeah, so definitely another Crystal Spike will take it down. Hellfire online for Jackass, so Hellfire, Kinu stays in, definitely goes down, and Saku takes a handful of damage too. The only
Cage
double
is
swap.
well.
And what was that?
Cage is online as well.
Oh, very true. So Cage into the Hellfire, I feel like that could be a solid play. How would it backfire? Only backfire if the stone ball coming out from Volcrane. The following turn in Drakash with the Grease, very interesting. So Fire Tornado onto Saku. Man, almost 60% damage.
fighting back with its own tornado, doing just as much, if not a little bit more, bringing Drakash down to the red with 5 Lifeful Sap heals still to go for Saku. Certainly not out of it after that hard hit.
Yeah, so both the Kinu and the Saku are trapped, so Hellfire should basically end both of these. These might be a double kill here with the Crystal Spike. So Alola cat. Oh, energy, that doesn't kill. Oh, maybe did it. Oh man, I'm wondering, Rarzi, why didn't we get the Crystal Spike there? I thought Crystal Spike definitely would have done the job. Maybe trying to preserve a little stamina, but it cost the Dracash's life there. I guess for the heal, right? I guess that's what I'm seeing here. It does take away the heal, but it wouldn't heal if it would be dead, right?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why it went that way.
I'm like 90% certain a Crystal Spike would have killed there.
There's always the chance that Alola wanted Saku to survive so that he can leave Mix out a little bit longer, not have the double pressure if it was Volorend and Volcrane that came out.
Yeah, and I definitely think it was just preserving some stamina. With the Sweatband there, you could be a little bit loose with those moves, but it's okay. Alola just calculated the kill there, but miscalculating just a tad bit, surviving by 5%. But still looking in a solid position. I mean, only having to deal with a 5% Saku. Volorend looking decent. Actually, wait a minute. No, it's still definitely close. But the Dust Vortex on Volphy, checking the Volcrane in the back. I guess Crystal Spike here, or sorry, Sandstorm, so that's what it's up to. But wow, the Saku not gonna be able to get off, or sorry, not going down.
Yeah, I mean, Saku, we've been thinking Saku was done these last couple turns. He finally does overexert himself, but man, that was so much extra value after we'd written him off.
Yeah, and I think I'm seeing it here. I think it definitely was on purpose. So Alola, just the 5-head player he is, wanted not to kill Saku, to not let the free Volcrane come in. So just beautiful stuff coming out from Alola. And you know what? That might be a near max speed Volphy, or just super speedy Volphy, because the normal Prio Sandstorm outspeeding Tornado from the Saku. But here it is. If that's a speedy Volphy, we will get the Dust Vortex. Volcrane -1 speed. Does Hyperkinetic Strike go first? Because Hyper definitely kills the Volphy. We could be getting a race swap into the Volphy. Just to be safe, bait out Hyperkinetic Strike. Oh, but wait, the mix has Crystal. Alright, so doing solid handful of damage with that energy manipulation. Oh, Dust Vortex does go off first, so see you later, Volcrane. Let's see what Volorend had to say about it. Does he have Hyper? Wow, the -1 speed coming in so clutch, allowing the Volphy. And guys, that is a speedy Volphy. So yeah, I think this will be GG. So Alola not going down without a fight. Incredible stuff, tying things up 1-1. That's how we like to see it in these intense matchups. So GG, man, beautiful stuff. That play right there, we were a little bit confused about it, but now that we think about it in hindsight. All right, Texas Roadhouse going Tsubaki-chan with the Tsubaki, Tiki with Alola. And what am I doing? Here we are, game number 3, Alola Tsubaki-chan. As I said, only one player moving ahead into the semifinals. Let's see what kind of game plans these guys want to bring into game number 3.
Yeah, so again, Alola banning Naga first, meaning Tsubaki could, yes, bring in Noxolotl back in. Now with the Volorend lead on Alola's side, potentially not wanting to go double toxic lead with the Yggdrasil, like we saw in the top 16, potentially going for Kinu instead, more similarly to how he did in game 1 of these quarterfinals.
Yeah, so Vola was picked up. We did confirm it was an anaerobic Vola, so most likely very high attack with those feather gatlings, so maybe that's the key piece. Lola was missing. He did not have access to that Vola in the previous game, so picks it up immediately. Volderen and Kinu, so solid attack, solid physical pressure coming out that very first turn. And what else is a lot of physical pressure? It will be that Volcrane to check the Gialis if it does want to come, if it does want to stay in and try to hurt down the Noxel here.
Yeah, I mean, so far I feel like the team that we've seen Alola running would be pretty strong again into this lead. Maybe bring Wolfie before the fires this time, though.
Yeah, Tsubaki, considering, you know, the Rays did a lot there. It stopped the Hyperkinetic Strike from going before the Wolfie does Vortex, a 3 prior move going after a 2 prior move. So Rays doing a lot, and Tsubaki realizing that, so potentially looking at Rays, but maybe not the Rays, and you take care of the Tem that was doing all the damage. It was the Wolfie, but the Dracash, okay, I could definitely respect that. Dracash was looking really good.
Yeah, now second ban. I mean, we know this anaerobic Volar, and if Tsubaki is able to set it up, would be able to tank quite a lot. Saku, on the other hand, does a lot of damage, surprising amounts of damage. So Alola is certainly taking a look at this Saku, thinking, would life be better not having to worry about Saku?
Or perhaps the Kinu, you know, I can't remember we saw the Kinu, but now that it's been confirmed, Kinu doesn't have grease. Alola with the mixed cage, dealt with the Kinu fairly easily, so perhaps Kinu not the biggest threat. As you said, Rarzy, maybe eyeing the Saku there. It seemed like that was a pretty problematic temp for Alola. Those Wimbers hitting heavy, those Tornadoes hitting heavy. I don't blame him for banning Saku here. Looks like a solid ban. The Volderen as well. Ooh. Tough
Getting
decisions.
low on time here. 3 seconds left. Gotta make a decision, or the decision will be made for you. It is Saku, whether Alola wants it or not.
Yeah, going deep into the reserve all the way to 0-0-0. Saku does catch the ban, so Wolfie comes in, trying to do work against the Volcrane as we saw in game number 2. So how does Tsubaki want to add to this team? He has the Noxalato, so we saw the Ninjaso increase those defensive powers with the Bark Shield, but what else increases all that defensive is the Kinu buffs. So it does go with the Kinu, not too shabby.
And Alola, with all Tems remaining being good choices, decides to go with Nid and Mix. Mix, of course, as you mentioned, easily taking down Kinu. And just in general, having that Puppet Master could certainly save some lives later on.
Yeah, Mix a little bit of an MVP there in that game too. But this is it. This is what dreams are made of. One of these players want it so bad. They want to move forward. And then one of them will be a little bit crushed, or a lot of bit crushed. Of course, these players put a lot on the line in terms of training, preparation, theory crafting. It just feels so bad to come all this way just to be knocked out. There's always a winner, and sometimes, unfortunately, there is a loser. Whose side is what we're gonna be finding out here in game number 3 of these quarterfinals. Let's see how it starts to go. I'm thinking, Rarzy, a simple Feather Gatling double gash onto Noxalato, but then that leaves the Gialis exposed to something like a Stone Ball, Toxic Ink, from Tsubaki-chan's side.
Yeah, I mean, if Alola thinks that this Gialis will take the Stone Ball, it might be worth staying in and just attacking this Volcrane.
Oh, you're very right. Double Gash is effective into Volcrane. But yeah, Gialis feeling a bit too pressured. Does swap to Nidrasil. But wait a minute. If this is an Embers, it still does solid work against Nidrasil.
Indeed it is. Embers down to 63%, and Noxalotl taking advantage of a Madness buff, giving itself some special defense coverage nice and early.
Nice. And am I going crazy, Rarzi? Or did Alola always have an aerobic bird?
I believe that Alola's bird was aerobic, yeah.
Okay. I guess because we were spectating Tsubaki's side, that's what's confusing me. So yeah, Tsubaki has the anaerobic bird. I guess I wasn't paying attention, or maybe Alola didn't recruit the Volrin. Maybe it wasn't game 1. Yeah, it might have always been banned and we didn't see. So confirm aerobic bird on Alola's side. So maybe that's the key piece. Honestly, no, it already got Madness buff. If it didn't get Madness buff at this health, a Hyperkinetic Strike would kill. But yeah, at just +1 speed is not going to be enough with that +2 special defense. So maybe hold off a little bit more, get some more Feather Gatlings in the direction of the other slot, increase your speed, and then go for a solid hyperkinetic play.
And we do see Gialis coming back out for Nidrasil. The scary Volcrane that pressured Gialis out earlier doesn't matter anymore, as Kinu actually comes in, buffing up Volcrane and protecting.
Ooh, solid stuff. So catching the Volcrane before going off, the Ember is not going to be too impactful there, 33% less. And still quite solid though, over 30% damage. So what we do know, Hook Kick is online. Thankfully for Tsubaki, that's a +1 defense already, and Volcrane known for his high defenses, so Hook Kick might not be bringing it all the way down of course, but take it quite close. But now a HKS paired with a Hook Kick, now that most likely does the job on the Volcrane, so Tsubaki has to be careful with the Volcrane.
Kinu as well, with Gialis standing there, you know, sharp stabs or Crystal Bite would do a lot of damage.
Yeah, you're definitely right. A Crystal Bite going into the Kinu spot as well. The Volcrane that eats those Crystal Bites the best is on the board, so a Crystal Bite into the Kinu spot could be a fine play as well. I'm wondering if Tsubaki wants to leave Kinu and try to Hypno. It doesn't feel too right. I mean, you'll never Hypno the aerobic bird, so yeah, I think Tsubaki's just going to retreat the Kinu here. Maybe bring in Nidrasil most likely.
Yeah, keep Kinu alive to protect their buff again.
I definitely agree with that, Rosie. But interesting turn. Turn 3, always. Those first couple turns, 1 through 3, are some of the most impactful turns in the entire game. So I don't blame these players for taking their time. But maybe Tsubaki, realizing the Volcrane's pressured, maybe goes with a solid double swap. Or if Tsubaki wants to be a bit bold, leave the Kinu in, go with a Stonewall onto the swap in of whatever he decides. Because Kinu did have that, or was it the Pig? I actually don't remember if Kinu had the Stonewall. We just saw it, we saw the move earlier.
Yeah, Tsubaki's Kinu does have Stonewall.
Okay. So maybe something along those lines as well. Thinking that, you know, Alola knows Crystal Bite kills the Kinu. So of course the mind games are always at play here. But man, Alola going deep into the reserve time here. So Kinu does retreat. It will be the Volrin here. So let's see how it plays out. Okay, so wait a minute. Volcrane, are we going down here? So 81 is hook kick enough for the 40%. Is it enough? Oh, when it is, we tried to warn Tsubaki, and not really. I mean, we were just saying some likely situations.
That is certainly a shame as well. Volcrane could have done a lot of damage towards Nidrasil, Mix, and Gialis. Losing it this early on is pretty big.
Yeah, as you said, Rarzy, it does check the Gialis, and it's a really heavy hitter against the Mix too. But maybe Tsubaki realizing doesn't have too much of an ideal swap there. If it's a Nidrasil eating an HKS, it's gonna be getting huge heavy damage. And honestly, a 1-2 hit into the Nidrasil probably brought it down. Noxalato definitely goes down. So yeah, I think he was just choosing to sacrifice it. I know Tsubaki did know it was gonna go down, but wanted to preserve his backline a little bit more important, more as a priority to him.
Tsubaki's in this situation again. Kinu's spot is certainly in trouble from this Gialis, and he doesn't have the best swap-ins to choose from. Nidrasil certainly wouldn't go down, but it's potentially Noxalotl. Yes, Noxalotl coming in, hoping that it survives, hitting the trance, buffing itself up, starting to do what we've seen it do all tournament long for him.
Yeah, and Lola playing this so well. Knowing that's an anaerobic bird, gonna be decreasing his attack. And actually, wait a minute, why did that do so much? Maybe some decent speed on his anaerobic bird there. Cause yeah, usually, I mean, it was base, it didn't have any decrease in special attack, so doing solid damage. Oh no, sorry, that's an aerobic bird. Of course, that's why it did so much. Of course.
That, along with Alola's Volorend, is, yeah, -2 special defense. Certainly a big hit there. And Noxalotl taking a little bit of damage, but not taking the bite, means that it's not in trance.
Alright, so makes the double crystal pressure from Alola. Let's see how it works out. So Kinu, we've seen this game plan before. Buff up the Noxalotl, try to carry it to Tsubaki, or Tsubaki to victory, but the hook kick and acid reflux, fortunately for Alola, that's half damage on these crystal Tems. But really good read from Tsubaki though, eating that hook kick with the Kinu.
Yes, that was a little bit of damage towards Mix, which is not a bad thing. After this toxic tick goes down, Mix could be at risk of dying without triggering Puppet Master, which would be a very nice thing to happen for Tsubaki. Certainly something that could swing in his favor.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I mean, he doesn't have any hard-hitting moves as it stands, not on Tsubaki's side, but on the other side, Lola definitely has the pressure. Wait a minute, this might be pretty advantageous for Alola. Crystal Bite is online if Gialis wants to overexert to do so, as well as the Crystal Spike, so this might be the time to gun in Noxalotl. But as I say that, Gialis preserving its own health, swapping into Nidrasil instead.
Nidrasil on both sides as Kinu finds his way back, and the Crystal Spikes towards Nidrasil. Does a lot of damage, but Noxalotl, ooh, just going for the Toxic Ink onto a Nidrasil, hardly doing anything. No poison there, and still no trance for this Noxalotl.
Yeah, Lola doing it so well, not trying to trigger the trance. Fortunately, Tsubaki already Madness buff, +1 Protector buff, so even without the trance, it's at a +3 special defense, +2 attack, +1 defense, so it's still looking like a bit of a beast, but not as crazy as the previous games. But now this looks like a bit of a stall game. I remember seeing a couple games like this back in the day with Matt G. It was toxic on all 4 sides of the board. And no one was doing pressure. Of course, Alola does have the mix here, so that's decent pressure. But yeah, the 2 Nidoqueels not gonna be doing a whole lot to each other. Definitely not a whole lot to Noxalotl. So I mean, Alola, what do we got to do? I feel like at best Crystal Spike, Toxic Ink, but then you're susceptible to Allergic Spread, but it's not going to be coming out. Instead, it will be the Voloran. And that's what it's there for, to eat up that special attack damage. But actually, I don't think it started set it up yet. Okay, one time, or 1 Kinu buff, so yeah, not even set up too much.
Yeah, with only 1 Kinu buff, it still eats the Crystal Spikes fairly well. And now does give this wind pressure towards Nidoqueel.
So I think Tsubaki wants to get mixed down enough, so 1 more Poison Tick drops it down to about... I'm thinking he's thinking 1 Toxic Plume range, because the Plume is going to be doing decent damage, and then 1 more Tick of Poison. So I think that's Tsubaki's game plan, to try to deal with the mix.
That would require this mix stay in though, which doesn't seem all that likely once Plume is back online and this Toxic Tick is gone. So we do see 1 more Crystal Spikes going through to Voloran, almost bringing it down. The Toxic Ink should be enough now. Yes, 0% left on Voloran. Mixed with this low stamina, certainly is finding his way out after this, but the Acid Reflux coming through.
Does it kill?
A lot of damage.
Oh, it doesn't kill the mix. That's exactly where you want to have it. Not exactly, of course, because you're still susceptible to that Nidoqueel. But man, oh man, a single percentage point separating mix being on the board to being back in the temp cards. So insane stuff. Acid Reflux, if a 1 more trance trait would have triggered, if that was a +4 special attack, of course the mix would have dropped down. So Alola playing it quite well here and not letting the trance trigger this entire game. So yeah, you know, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, Rarzy. We said Alola not going with the Noxalotl ban, perhaps learning how to play against it in this best of 3 match. So maybe that's what we're seeing a little bit here in game number 3.
Yeah, Alola doing a great job just ignoring Noxalotl's existence. Even Nox, I mean, it is dealing some damage, but not having any of these trances means that later on, once it's down to Noxalotl, it'll be so much easier for this Voloran, for this, I mean, Volvigialis, to just pound through Noxalotl.
Yeah, so let's see. So Tsubaki 2 Temtems down. Alola essentially 2 Temtems down. Are we gonna get... I was wondering if we get a cage just to secure the kill on Kinu there, but no, not going with the risky play. You need those Crystal Spikes a little bit later, so Toxic Ink, the Kinu stays in.
Ooh, and that is going to be enough. Unless Revitalize towards Noxalotl. So Kinu's going down.
And one thing I can say for sure, Alola loves his speed. Look at that, a Nidoqueel outspeeding a Kinu. You would never see that in the previous patch. But Toxic Ink will go before the Revitalize, which is quite insane to see, honestly.
So now Tsubaki down to Noxalotl and Nidoqueel. Certainly a combination that he's made work before, but now with no setups.
Yeah, and this is really rough. Alola has the Voloran. Hyperkinetic Strike is online at +2 speed. Nidoqueel, no base stages increase. This is going down super fast. And Noxalotl can't take down the Voloran here. We're going to see it here. So Hyperkinetic Strike, Voloran, 64% all the way down. That's what aerobic birds do. And now is Noxalotl versus the world. Can Tsubaki's Noxalotl do it though? It's 1v5. Alola putting on quite the show here.
I think this comes down to who wants it more. Tsubaki did a fantastic job the entire season earning his way to the top 16 for free. But Alola having to fight through it all. Alola's been here for 6.5 hours, winning constantly. Hasn't dropped a single match up until the first game here. And now Alola's really proving his strength. Shows that he wants to win this. Does take the acid reflux though, bringing down Volorend and Nidrasil. But it is still Noxolotl versus...
Yeah, wait a minute, Rarzi. We could be speaking too soon. I mean, the Gialis is still back there, so... Can Noxolotl live some Crystal Bite pressure? So Crystal Bite, Crystal Spike. Let's see it happen. That is a +2 defense, +4 special defense. So Wolfie in the back line won't be doing a lot. Noxolotl with the pillow has a lot of regeneration potential. Man, if this is a 1v5 situation, we're gonna go crazy in here. But Alola's still looking decent here. Puppet Master online, Acid Reflux is not online, so let's see, 36%, Crystal Spike going, okay, solid damage. Crystal Bite is it for the win? 19%? Oh, 3% remaining. But I think that still solidifies the win for Alola there. Because Acid Reflux one more time not online, and Crystal Spike should be enough. 13%. Yes, it is. So Alola taking down Tsubaki-chan, but man, so insane. That was
Alola and Tsubaki-chan. That kind of takes a toll on you mentally, trying to calculate everything. Now you have to calculate against another player, and I'm sure we'll see how Kanzaki and Toutirabien do this time.
Yeah, absolutely well said. I mean, that's why we took a little bit of a break, so they can get a bit more rejuvenated. But let's take a look. So we haven't seen too much from Kanzaki here, so let's say it first. We are here for game number 1 of our semifinals for the Crystle Cup. But look at that, Blue. You see what I'm seeing? We got a Luma Rise on Kanzaki's side.
Yeah, an absolute animal. Quite literally, the Rise is so good at controlling speeds, especially since we are seeing a little bit of a rise of wind teams and toxic teams. So as they're beginning to rise again, ironic, no pun intended, but Rise is also coming back into the meta, as he will be very important to deter that. Also, is a very good counter to a Volorend opening, because you just basically prevent the Volorend from setting up immediately. So just a very solid counter to buy you some time. Wimplup, Volorend, these kind of temps don't want to be sped down. Mastion doesn't mind being sped down, not the fastest temp anyway, so not the biggest deal in the world. Toutirabien probably considering to pick up the Volorend here regardless of the Rise opening. That would be fine, but it's just hard to choose what temps you want to open with, considering your opponent gets counterpicked, and also you're not sure what's going to get banned, most likely the Cerny for the Volorend here.
Yeah, exactly that. And it looks like Kanzaki does have counterpick for this game, but check that out. So Tuti starting with the not too standard, but not too far off. So Mastion being a carry, and you know what to do. We got to buff it up with these Kinu buffs. So Kinu Mastion to get things started for Tuti. How does Kanzaki want to answer this? He has Wolfie, which is pretty decent. You know, you can plague the Mastion, keep it trapped in for turn 2 does Vortex. I feel like that's always quite devastating. Kanzaki maybe eyeing the size much perhaps.
Yeah, so I think what Kanzaki's trying to figure out is if Toutirabien will ban the size munch, right? Because you'd rather have that size munch in the opening, at least just so you confirm it. And yes, he probably won't stay in for the first round, but just having that in is super effective. But then you also have to consider, if you pick up size munch, wouldn't Toutirabien just ban Gaialis, and then you don't have that synergy bonus? So again, just that thought process. Do you want a size munch or Gaialis in this situation? If you're knowing that one of them is going to get banned. So Kinu is picked up instead. Toutirabien, his opening, I would say Toutirabien's opening is probably the best case scenario for eating that Rise Demoralize in the first turn, because neither of these Tems really like speed. I mean, they would love speed, but it's not like a Mix who loses speed, or a Volorend loses speed, or Whipple loses speed. If those Tems lose speed, it's much more detrimental, considering that if you look at Toutirabien's team, the only Tem that can turbo is the Kinu.
Yeah,
potentially.
exactly. And yeah, the only tems that can receive it are the Volderant and the Wimplump. But there we go, Tutti picking up the Cernif here, trying to check, I guess, the Seismunch here since he eliminated the Volphy as a potential threat on Kanzaki's side.
This is probably the most surprising thing I've seen from Toutirabien. He bans the Volphy and allows the Seismunch Gaias through. He says, alright, I don't care about your combo wombo, come at me. And Kanzaki was very well about to oblige, and he does. He says, I ain't scared of no ghosts, bring your best. And
yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, the Seismunch wreck, as you call it, Blue, the rock bottom definitely checks Mastion for sure, so Tutti has to be careful. But I like what Kanzaki did here. He didn't reveal if he wanted to go Cernif just yet, so letting Tutti go into Wimplump.
Right.
And I think Kanzaki for the last pick most likely going to be picking up the Cernif. So maybe a Cernif mirror at the end. We might have to see and find out.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There's still a mix and a Volorant, of course, that potentially could be picked up here from Toutirabien. But the question is, again, which one would you rather have? Mix does not feel very impactful here. You already have a Kinu for the beta burst. I think the consideration Toutirabien is trying to have here is, does he want to mix for the Seismunch or a Volorant for overall effectiveness? And that is exactly what he decides to go for. And now Kanzaki could either pick up a tank or an obnoxious tank. Either way, he will have something beefy to at least face check these wind attacks, these tornadoes, these cold breaths, or could Bark Shield itself and Bush itself to just buy some time. And there you go, Cernif is picked up, and we do have that mirror match as you were mentioning.
Yeah, we will see. So a little bit, guys, these guys are in the same club, so Enigma representing here in the semifinals, but this is game number 1, Kanzaki versus Tutti. Who's taking one game up so far? This doesn't decide it all, of course. It is a best of 3, but man, Kanzaki going with a bit of a passive start, almost 2 supports, so not too much fireworks on Kanzaki's side. So we'll see how it plays out.
You can say the same about Toutirabien, not necessarily having the most extravagant opening as well. Massion, yes, does a lot of damage, but it's not the Tem you think of when you think of high damage or a pressure threat for the first round. If anything, Mastion will do a lot of damage here onto the Kinu if Kanzaki has to stay, but that's very unlikely here. I think there'll be a Seismunch swap in for the Kinu or something along those lines, and we might just see a standard swap out here. There might even maybe a double swap from Kanzaki's side. I mean, it would be quite the move, swapping in Seismunch and Gaialis immediately and having that rock bottom threat right away just to deter these sort of Tems, and it sort of forces the Wimplump and Volorant in just to eat that hit if he does not want to face check that massive damage burst.
Yeah, I could definitely see that meme, but if Tutti wants to read it, what if he goes Embers, Beta Burst into the Kinu spot? It could be risky, but a little bit too 5-head move. But let's see, it is a Seismunch, so did Tutti read this? If it is a Beta Burst, this is 5-head. Oh my god, Blue, he read the play.
Oh, he does a lot of damage on the Beta Burst. It just impacts it. 59% damage. Embers will connect on the Kinu, will punish it a little bit, but definitely not the trade that looks very nice. The Embers does decent damage as well. The Seismunch is healthy enough to at least throw a rock bottom in there, and is definitely fast enough to do so. Gaialis swap is still available. So this Seismunch, although it did take a lot of damage, is not in any means in a terrible situation. Rock bottom into Far Tornado will be faster than this Kinu most likely.
Yeah, we have to see though, but at this HP, the Kinu Beta Burst did do enough to take it down, so you gotta be careful. Mastion Cage is online, so if Kanzaki wants to go for the melee synergy, the cage threat might be a bit real, because if you miss the turn of doing something like what you said, and Blue, I don't think the Fire Tornado just yet, right? One more turn, so just a simple Embers or Fire Flame should be coming out. But yeah, I feel like Kanzaki wants that melee synergy online, because that would demolish a Mastion. But we also got to keep in mind, it's not heated up yet, so it's not the crazy rock bottom we're used to seeing, but it's still effective damage for sure.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation here. The Kinu and the Mastion is designed to sort of just hold back the Seismunch. Sure, well, at least temporarily, as Kinu being so tanky, or at least tanky enough to survive a couple more Fire Flames and Embers, means that the Seismunch has to carry everything in his back. And yes, the swap in for Gaialis might be nice, but if the Massion doesn't drop to extremely low levels, then that Gaialis is now in danger, right? So there's a lot of things that Kanzaki has to consider here. If Seismunch is his main damage output, it better put in the work, because there's still a Voron in the back, there's still a Wimplump in the back to do that wind damage down the line against that Cerny.
Oh, we don't get the cage here, so it's actually going to be the Kinu to try to protect it from this beta burst. So let's see what's going to be going first. So it is the Seismunch wreck going to be going first. How low are these Tems going? Solid,
Rock
almost
bottom.
50%.
Yeah, Rock Bottom does as much damage as possible it can do, but Beta Burst is going to be thrown out here. The Seismunch may have been sacked for naught here. Kinu takes it to 7.9%. A Meteor Swarm will make sure that it does not see the light of day, as that will be enough damage to take it out, and Kinu drops to 12.5% HP. And Seismunch is sacrificed for mild damage on the side of Toutirabien, and he still has Revitalized.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I wish it would have done more, or Kanzaki wishing it would have done a bit more, but did enough damage before going down. And yeah, even catching the Kinu there with that Meteor Swarm. So solid stuff. Good swing going over to Tuti here. So back out the raise. So if these Tems weren't slow before, they're even slower now. So Massion so slow. And Kinu, that's why those beta birds going afterwards as well. So yeah, the raises here, and of course, I mean, you don't want Gaialis or Cernif into a Mastion, so a solid play there, bringing out the raise.
Yeah, the struggle right now for Kanzaki is he basically gambited that Seismunch for a lot of chunk damage, and also he's gambited so much Kinu HP, and that's not the Tem you think of when you think what can eat a Meteor Swarm, right? So the Kinu being dropped to 12.5% HP means that you currently just have your Rise support and your Gaialis and Cernif to really bring back the damage output. But again, if you take a look at Toutirabien's team, he still has 3 extremely healthy Tems in the back, so Hypnosis will be thrown out here to put the Massion to sleep, give himself a turn to play with here. Ember's gonna be thrown out as well, doing some decent damage up to the Kinu, but a Beta Burst surely kills the Kinu here, so another sacrifice must be done here for the side of Kanzaki. He is sacking 2 Tems here for as much damage and some time, but there's still 5 Tems on the side of Toutirabien, and 3 of them are extremely healthy.
Yeah, and Tuti doing a fantastic job, already eliminating 2 Temtems from Kanzaki, so obviously a good swing going into Tuti's favor. Of course, still a lot of game to be had. Rise still checking a couple things on Tuti's side, the Cernif still checking a couple things. So yeah, still a lot of game to be played out, but is looking a bit in Tuti's favor, at least for this very first game.
Yeah, there's a lot of struggle here for the side of Kanzaki. Again, the Gaialis and Cernif are strong, but this Mastion being at half HP and with the Revitalize theoretically available, it's a problem. This Mastion could also just be back pocketed for later. Let the Cernif and Wimplump play for a little bit, and then once you are ready, you just bring back the Mastion and do your fire damage. That's sort of the problem. Meteor Swarm should be available now once the Mastion wakes up. So again, he can just take his time, swap out to the Cernif, the Wimplump, and play it out that way. That would be perfectly reasonable, but decides to keep the Mastion here. Shy Shield will be thrown out for the side of Kanzaki. Wants to set that up as soon as possible, and the Cernif will take that Ember to the face. Only 18% though, and Callosity as well makes it even harder for this Rise to push forward. It is a special attack Tem though. It's at least special attack heavy in terms of its damage output. So Tornado could do some damage.
Yeah, and it definitely is online. So Blue, we might get the answer to the age-old question: what is better, Callosity or Settling? This is what these tamers are working with. Tuti's side has Callosity, Kanzaki with the Settling. So we'll see which one edges out in the end game. But look at that, one of them using Shy Shields to get their defensive, one of them just trying to get physical pressure on its way.
Very good King's Roar here, buys more time, but Flitting Meteorite is going to obliterate this Cerny's HP unless it tanks it. No, that was on +2 defense and a -1 attack Bastion, and it still dropped it at 62% HP. This Bastion, the Meteor Strike was devastating.
Yeah, huge. Flaming Meteorite is so insane, but as you said, Blue, that's a -1 attack, so 33% reduction, and then 100% increase in defense for Cernif, so that's why I did so little. A really good King's Roar for sure. Saving a lot of HP from Cernif.
Kanzaki trying to desperately buy some time. Cernif, of course, on his side can also revitalize, so not a horrible deal per se, but it's just a struggle to really what your objective here is. Mastodon is now the slowest Tem in history on this field, so essentially you still have to kill it, right? Eventually. So it's still a struggle to try and figure out what you want to do to deal with it. Revitalize, of course, used on the Cernif, just making sure that it tanks more of those hits. Another roar! This Rise has gone full support, and this Mastodon, Meteor Swarm thrown out here, trying to do as much damage as possible, but this Cernif, now +2 defense and -2 attack on the Mastodon, now takes only, I believe, 23%, so Revitalize still actually returning a profit, so to speak.
Yeah, that roar solidifying that 50% reduction in attack. So Mastion heavy hitter, you gotta cut that in half because that's what Mastion's working with now. So really good support raise coming out from Kanzaki, doing a lot of work for him. That's what you want to see. If you were able to get off another roar on Cernif, which was on the board before, that would have been huge. -2 attack Cernif, -2 attack Mastion would almost be a GG right there. But protect the Cernif, Wimplup, of course, a special attacker, so it doesn't matter too much. So let's see what he's going to swap into. Back out the Cernif comes.
Yeah, interesting. Once the Cernif in here so that the Mastodon has revitalized, and also to eat this Water Cannon Lily does only half damage onto another Cernif, and that's Callosity. Walks right into that. Embers will be thrown out as well, but this just helped put fire into the problem that is already Callosity. Cernif, Embers will burn as well. The opposing side, Cernif Kanzaki, is now even in terms of HPs with the Cernif on Toutirabien. But the problem here is that he has 3 Tems, while Volrend is still in the back to do Noxious Bomb damage, and there's still a Wimplup for that Tsunami, those tornadoes. So there's still a big problem here.
Yeah, if Tuti's gonna if he could take care of the Cernif, the Wimplup could easily run away with the rest of it for sure. Those Water Cannon Lilies are the biggest threat for it, but this is what Cernifs do. They just take damage and they heal it right back up. Especially these tanky boys, the Shy Shields, the Callosity guys. And of course, they're both working with the Sweatband on it. So man, Cernif Mirror is real here in our semifinals. But I'm wondering, Kanzaki's been holding that Fire Tornado for quite some time, waiting to deploy it. I wonder when he thinks it's the right time.
Yeah, I think the thing I'm actually concerned about is if Toutirabien will just let this Cernif chill here. It has been here for, I believe, 4 turns now, so that Stellar buff is going to slowly go up, and it's not like he can really reduce the attack. So Shy Shield again, just making sure to raise the defense. The Mastodon's already so low, and another roar. This Mastodon has a -3 attack now, I believe, or -4. It is at -3 attack.
3, yeah.
But that does absolutely nothing. The Cernif is a -2 attack by Meteorite. We'll try and take out the Cernif.
Let's see, 70%. Okay.
Ooh, it takes 21% damage, but that is half of what it used to do. It is legitimately just not effective enough anymore. Theoretically, Cernif could heal past that with Revitalize. So now this Mastodon just inching backwards slowly as this Rise brings it back, buying time for Kanzaki's Cernif. Because Kanzaki, he has to make most with what little he has, while Toutirabien has a lot of options. Gaialis will be swapped in actually. He thinks it's time for the Gaialis to do some work.
Yeah, and those hook kicks could be a decent amount into the Mastion, but yeah, Mastion hitting at 40% of what it used to hit, so yeah, that 60% reduction is huge right there. Oh, but the Revitalizing Cernif, of course, doesn't just revitalize itself, it could revitalize its allies, so Mastion back up to 100. It was closer to 50% from that Size Munch wreck. But yeah, Mastion is still an issue. Of course, it's -3 attack, so not the biggest issue, but hook kick. Oh, hook kick not doing all that much with the Kinu buff.
Yeah, unfortunately, doesn't do as much damage as hoped. Ember's gonna still do some damage on this Gaialis, but of course, resistant means that no Ember burns. But that was very little. I'm sure Kanzaki was expecting way more than that, but judging from that double up, I'm sure Kanzaki realizes this, but right now, Mastion can still pack a punch, but he double gashes regardless. He wants Gaialis to do as much damage as possible. Revitalizes it as well. Just making sure to keep it healthy. The Revitalize trade is there. Mastion will take that heal. But
oh my god, Blue.
Yeah, okay, we laugh about it, but Mastion is actually taking 12% damage a hit. So it's a slow crawl. Toutirabien, he's gonna lose this race, but in terms of Tems, you know, there is a turn limit, so Kanzaki has to either put the pedal to the metal or find another plan because this is not fast enough.
Yeah, and Cernif not gonna be able to output enough damage on Mastion. Of course, it is half resistance, so Gaialis has to do the job with a potential hook kick now online. We saw how much it did the first time, not too much, so Kanzaki will swap it out for the raise. And now, for sure, you said it earlier, Blue, the slowest Mastion we've ever seen. This is now for sure 100% the slowest Mastion we've ever seen. -3 speed. That is the most debuffs. Oh, sorry, -4 speed, so even worse.
Yes, even worse, absolutely. Flaming Meteorite is thrown out, actually drops onto the Rise spot, so this Rise is going to take this hit. It does 7% damage. And that's the Meteorite, ladies and gentlemen. That is the strongest attack in that Mastion's kit, and it did absolutely
strongest hitting fire Temtem as well too, right? Mastion known for the heavy hitting fire moves, and look at that, as you said, Blue, 7% +4 defense. Cernif, we're in for a long game because these guys are barely scratching each other for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, Lava Shark. I mean, he's a shark. He smells blood in the water, but there is no blood in the water. In fact, I don't think he can smell at all with -3 attack and -4 speed.
Yeah, he's not hungry for it. He doesn't have the savageness as usual.
Exactly.
Raze toned him down.
Yeah, I mean, the fire in him is just not there anymore. Right now, another Roar is available, another King's Roar is available. And what I'm wondering is why Toutirabien has yet to swap in anything. Because now I think it's too little too late, surely. Because now Cernif is at 80% more damage on Kanzaki's side. One front whip will obliterate one of these Tems that swap in. Kinu, Wimplump, Volaren, they're going to have problems. Especially with this Rise here to support with that Roar, the King's Roar. Right now, I think Toutirabien has let this game slip into an environment where Kanzaki's Cernif is going to shine along with this Rise support, Revitalize as well, thrown out to make sure this Rise will literally never die. King's Roar as well, and this is what I was referring to. This Cernif on the side of Toutirabien is a walking Revitalize at this point.
Yeah, and it actually catches the Cernif too, so that's a -3 attack Cernif, -4, so the Mastion is hitting at 1/3 of its attack power. Insane stuff. Kanzaki with the full control in terms of attack. You know, he's increasing attack power while Tuti's side is decreasing in attack power.
Fire Tornado can be thrown out here on the Cernif. Finally, he shows its true colors, and it obliterates the Cernif's HP. And again, this is a walking revitalized Cernif, so that damage is impactful. Kanzaki can smell blood in the water. Front Whip is ready, and he has Embers to back it up. And remember, this Cernif is slow as shit.
Yeah, slow boy, and not packing a punch whatsoever. -3, -4. Man, Tuti hasn't swapped out any of his Tems that often there. He could get off a couple more Kinu buffs, but these guys still holding it down. The Cernif revitalized back online. Is the race fast enough to try to take down the Cernif beforehand? Can a double up onto that Tuti Cernif slot end it before the Revitalize goes off? That's a -3 speed Cernif, so it could go down because that's what Tuti's eyeing right now. But there we go, the Mastion finally leaving the board. Out comes the Kinu, so trying to keep it protected from these incoming attacks.
Alternate, yeah, just reducing the Fire Tornado attack. But remember, this Cernif is very slow, so these attacks will actually come out first for the side of Kanzaki. Will it kill? It will! The Cernif dies! The walking revitalized is eliminated, and Kinu, he's now a sitting duck. This Mastion, also irrelevant, and this Wimplump is not safe anymore. Now there's Front Whip, and now the fight tears wide open. The wall that Toutirabien, hoping it would stay up, is now eliminated. It is because Kanzaki has been slowly chipping away at that wall. He brings his small pick into that wall, slowly tearing it apart, washing away at those crevices, those cracks, those weaknesses, until eventually it falls apart.
Yeah, and fell apart, it did indeed, and that was the trick there. So Colossity is all about that defense, but hey, Fire Tornado, that's a special attack, so cutting through all that defensive and completely annihilating the Cernif, bringing it down into that kill range as we saw. So Tuti going with a double swap here, bringing out the Volorant and the Massion. Who's eating this water currently? Most like the Massion spot there. So still, man, heavy damage. Blue, what turn did the Cernif come in? Because how many settling buff is it so far?
It entered, I believe, round 4, so it's currently at 14 times 8% bonus damage. It has a free heat up on it. It has 112% more damage right now, and I mean, you can see there, like that Bastion. I mean, he has decent defenses, but it's still the 21%. Toxic Plume, though, going to punish the Cernif's existence, as it is still going to struggle dealing with Volorant and Mastion, but attack down as well. This Mastion is just at the bottom of the barrel at this point, and Flaming Meteor, he's trying to eliminate the Cernif. If this isn't enough damage, the Cernif will go down to the Toxic Plume, but then 12% damage! Oh no, Mastion, not like this!
Yeah, not like this, Pepe Hands. That is the weakest Mastion we have ever seen in these tournaments, so a -5, that is the max you can do. I believe is now hitting at 28% is normal attack, so a 72% reduction. This is maxed out. This is the weakest a Mastion will ever be. Insane Kanzaki with that attack control, doing a fantastic job, showing the true power of not just the rays but the Luma rays. Those roars, the king roars, putting in so much work this match, and it's showing so much dividends on the side of Kanzaki. Slowly but surely, the settling buff Cernif will carry Kanzaki to game 1 victory as it stands currently.
Volorant will be swapped out here for Toutirabien. He wants to kill this Cernif. He wants special attacks, so he brings in the big guns. Bush will be played though, so this Mastion will not get a free hit in on this Cernif. Bush is just used to defend. Meteor Swarm will protect. Will deal damage. We'll avoid that, but they have taken decent chunk. Wimplump is, believe, attack reduced, but that's not important. What's important right now is that this Wimplump is fast enough to hit this Cernif. The question will be if Cernif survives a tornado. This Gaialis will have to do some work.
Yeah, very true. And we saw actually the Toxic Plume alone, a Toxic Plume being a special attack move from the Vola, ended up doing a handful of damage. So I dare say Cernif is in the danger zone. A tornado from the Wimplump will actually get through the Cernif defensive, of course, being a special attack. So Cernif not safe whatsoever. But man, Tuti knowing this, is this the time for the cage? Is Mastion gonna cage Tornado Cernif? Because that'll be a huge kill. Wimplump won't have any big threats heading its way. Actually the other way around, those Sharp Brains, and we're seeing it here. Cernif stayed in.
Oh, Tornado, will it kill the Cernif? No, it will kill it. It will eliminate it from the fight. And unfortunately, that means the Cernif, the wall that Kanzaki tried to keep up, is now destroyed. The Crystal Bite tried to get in there, but the Wimplump was too fast, and now there's just nothing he can do. This Embers will do some decent damage, continually chunking away this Gaialis, and there's no way to heal. This Rise is doing the best it can, but the Cernif being down means that Toutirabien, now he has nothing to worry about. Now it's just Gaialis.
Yeah, just Gaialis and Wimplump. Of course, Sharp Brain is online. There's no reduction in special attack, so this Wimplump's going to be hitting like a truck. I do think even with the Kinu buff, it still might go all the way down. It might be a bit close. It is at 50%. but that is usually a hard-hitting Whiplup with the hand fan. It signifies that's a high special attack investment on that Whiplup. So I think a Sharp Brain, despite the Kinu buff, should still be enough. Honestly, a Sharp Brain into Gialis takes down Gialis as well. So saving Whiplup for a little bit down the road, buffing up Mastions, and it is going to be the confirmed killer onto Gialis here. And good solid read.
Exactly. Fairy Meteorite will drop on this Gialis. We'll see how much damage it does. It is -5 attack, but it still punishes this Mastion. He said, stop ignoring me. I will do the damage. But at this point, again, the Gialis, there's just way too much weight on its back. The Cerny collapsed under that weight just moments ago, and I'm not sure if Gialis will be able to compensate.
Yeah, so coming down to the wire, I believe Volrun and never use a Hyperkinetic Strike, so Hyperkinetic Strike online, so certain. I don't know, Crystle by outspeeding, it won't get the kill, but still going low, so man, that's a fast Gialis. Of course, Raise lowering the speed just by 1, so maybe that had something to do with it, of course. So Gialis does drop down. So just Rise, which been putting in so much work this game 1 versus the remaining of Tuti's board. And with the Whiplup in the back line, it's a little bit too ambitious for this race here. A Sharp Brain, a Tsunami, those two will eliminate the Raise, and Whiplup can eat up pretty much any attack coming out from the Raise as well. So I think Tuti is going to be taking this game number 1, but very well played for both of these Tamers.
Exactly. Besides, because it's just what an incredible you know, display from both of those Tems. I mean, they tried their best, and Mastion manages to prevail even at -5 attack, as you mentioned. But of course, the Rise, I mean, he bought time, but special attack is not something he can prevent.
And yeah, he didn't have a direct answer to the Mastion, so Wolfie was taken out of the picture. The Whiplup wasn't there for him, so Mastion just got to stay on the board, no pressure, and it ended up carrying him to victory there. Didn't even go down at the end. Tuti still having it on his side. But okay.
Toutirabien face messed up on my screen for some reason.
What was that?
Toutirabien face on my screen is messed up. It's like
Is it?
crunched in or something. Yeah, it's like that weird glitchy crunched in face. It's Monka S.
Yeah, kind of crazy. It's kind of scary sometimes. But you know, remember the bug where it was like the super long hair, people floating around with like the super long hair? That was a crazy bug. I don't even know how that happens, but it did.
I mean, they were cosplaying Nagaise, obviously.
I
so,
see.
You know.
No, but I seen it. I went into Tukma and there was a line of hair all the way from the airship to the Temporium in Tukma, so it was literally forever long. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it's the string of fate. If you're, you know, when the hair gets stuck on the doorway, that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's what Kerma ended up doing. But let's get back into the game. So Kanzaki does get to pick that turn 1 Wolfie. He said, I had a problem with Mastion, but no, not this game. I'm gonna have my Dust Vortex online to try to eliminate the Mastion as soon as I can. But Tuti with the response, Cernif a really strong answer to Wolfie, and buffing it up already from the start. The Kinu pairing it alongside it.
Yeah, this is such a disgusting counter opening from Toutirabien. He knows that Kanzaki would attempt to at least prevent that Mastion opening, but Toutirabien just says, fine, I'll pick a Cernif and Kinu and we'll see what you can do about it. Because right now this means that Volpe is not really that useful, right? It's not like you need the trap to go to contain it. So there is still this sort of issue right now for Kanzaki. I'm not sure how he wants to display damage now that Toutirabien will most likely try and kill the Rise ASAP, right? Surely it will be the objective, and if Cernif gets banned, which it does, there will be no Revitalizers except from Akinu, and now Kanzaki, his game plan has to be completely different. There is no way he can play the same way this time.
Yeah, and Kanzaki actually choosing to ban the Mastion in case the Wolfie's not enough to try to take it down a little bit later. So Mastion catches a ban. But so these Tamers rounding out the team. Tuti picking up the Whiplup and Kanzaki with the Kinu, perhaps Size Munch.
This is the struggle though. Toutirabien has a Callosity Surneef with a Kinu with a back pocket. So again, this Rise, I mean, it did so much work in the previous game, but Toutirabien will most likely try and kill it now. Like, I mean, I'm sure, judging from last game, knowing that his Callosity Surneef will have to be main damage source for him this fight, he will most likely try and eliminate that Rise. It will only be a matter of time here. Wolfie as well will be such a solid Tem to use to just Dust Vortex the Rise, right? To just pummel it away. And I am really concerned about what the play here is for Kanzaki, because now, if you look at both teams, the damage from Toutirabien is significantly higher. Wimpluff can do damage. The Valorant, with that max attack TVs, will do damage. Surneef, it's a tank, but yes, it can also do damage with that front whip, with that water cutting lily. So I don't know what Kanzaki wants to do here in terms of his damage output. Saku could maybe do something,
Yeah,
but
Saku...
usually they're built like a tank.
Yeah, no. We saw, remember, Tsubaki Saku was definitely a damage dealer, high special attack Saku, so that might be the answer to try to take down the Surneef too, because Fire Tornado paired by normal Tornado, that probably gets the job done against the Surneef, so we could be keeping an eye out for Kanzaki.
Ooh.
But this is it, game number 2. Does Tuti want to go ahead and go straight to the finals, or the Kanzaki say, no way Jose, trying to bring things around? Let's see how it plays out. The Surneef with the Kinu and the Wolfie with that Luma Raise to get things started. Of course, both of these procs, Protector and Demoralize, off the bat.
Exactly, just throwing right out the gates the debuffs and the buffs. But for Toutirabien's side, I am fairly confident that he understands that his situation is kind of very effective here. Yes, Rise has that Fire Tornado, so he has to be concerned about that. But the Kinu swapping in for the special defense will be very effective down the line. There's also a Wimplup swap in later, probably not now because there's a Wolfie, of course. But there are several ways for this Rise to just take a beating. Beta Burst is one of them. But again, the question is, this Rise is staying at all in the first place.
Yeah, and this Wolfie's kind of feeling the pressure too. A Watercon Lily does decent damage onto Wolfie, so yeah, I was assuming he was gonna swap it out. So Kinu trying to absorb that nature technique, buffing up this Raise that did so much in game number 1, and I believe it is gonna be going into that Kinu spot. And solid read coming out from Kanzaki, and the double up, maybe thinking it was oh, I don't know, I guess just to do solid damage, and it actually did do solid damage.
Well, just like in the first game, Toutirabien completely ignored the Rise until right at the end, so this might be the same strategy. He's thinking Rise can't support anybody who is dead, right? So if he kills everybody else, it's sort of like the tank logic, right? But instead this is the support logic, where you let the Rise be, let the Rise do its thing. But the problem is the Rise actually does way more than a tank by itself with another Tem, right? You reduce their attacks, reduce their speeds. Down the line, that will bite you back if you are not careful. You don't just ignore a Rise, especially if it's shiny, blue, and Luma. So we'll have to see if this is the right way to go about this.
Yeah, so I mean, Kanzaki, of course, the only direct answer to the Surneef is that Rise with the Fire Tornado. Saku, as we mentioned, also a decent option, so I could see Kinu becoming a Saku this very next turn. For Tuti here, anticipating a Saku, maybe you get your Valorant out here to try to do some solid noxious bombs perhaps. I feel like that's always a solid option too, so potential swaps out for these Kinus. I don't see, I mean, Tuti's showing he's a fan of just going Beta Burst at opening turn, so not too bad there. Actually did a bit more than I would assume for a Kinu on Kinu action.
I was gonna say, I think we might actually see a King's Roar Revitalize. I think that would be a perfectly reasonable decision, reducing the attack of the Surneef, and Revitalize will heal up the Kinu, but Kanzaki decides against that, of course, does not want to deal with that. And as you mentioned, Saku will be brought in on the table here just to tank up more hits. Revitalize will be thrown out instead on the side of Toutirabien, just healing up that Kinu. And the Surneef itself, if it did take any damage, Ember's going to be thrown out as well on the Kinu. Does a lot of damage. The core wall is there, and that will raise defenses and special defense. So this Kinu getting max value, and this Surneef looking very dangerous already.
Yeah, so getting a solid +2 special defense, so trying to keep it ready to take some damage from the Fire Tornado, which is now finally online. Saku came in last turn, so Tornado also online, so both big hitting moves potentially come into Cerna's direction there. Tuti might be able to read it, switch it into something like Whip Plump. Best Temtem to eat both of those attacks, resist them quite well. Might be a potential line of play, but if Kanzaki notices that, maybe decides to go with a different line of play. Maybe the Kinu slot.
The Kinu slot wouldn't be too bad here, but again, the question is if Whip Plump is still... Like, I keep trying to figure out how the rest of Toutirabien's team will come in. Like, when do they come in, right? Because the mix is a good swap in, but then Fire Tornado will face check that if you're not careful. The Volorend is nice, but then if it's not set up properly, you'll just face check maybe a King's Roar, Ambers, Tornado, in fact. So you have to be careful with how you set this up. And the problem right now is what Kanzaki wants to do against it. So Mix will be coming out, as mentioned here, just to take this hit that will eventually come in. And Toutirabien actually double swaps out. Certainly is not going to come in. And Whip Plump, I mean, why swap one when you can swap out both? Threaten this Rise completely, but Tornado will be thrown out here on the Mix.
Wait a minute.
And will do a lot of damage.
Oh, Blue, imagine if that was a Fire Tornado into the Kinu spot. Mix would have been dead. Of course, hindsight 2020, just going with the safe and easy Embers, but Fire Tornado was indeed online. That would have been a dead Mix. That would have been insane momentum going over for Kanzaki here.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Kanzaki was trying to conserve that stamina, did not want to expend a lot of stamina on a perhaps dead Kinu, so the Mix survives, and that is such a problem now, considering that only Wolfie has potential Sandstorm. Saku does not have anything, I believe. And
Yeah,
Rise,
I don't think he has anything. And you're totally right, Blue. The only one that has the AoE on Kanzaki's side is that Wolfie. Gialis has nothing. Saku doesn't have anything. Raze and Kinu, nope. So Wolfie with the Sandstorm, potentially the only thing, but the Cage coming through. So trying to get rid of this support Raze right away. Kanzaki not reading any of that.
No, that's the double swap, and unfortunately Kanzaki is now going to face check this Tsunami for free. No response whatsoever, and the Rise now stuck in here with Sharp Rain now locked and loaded to blow his face out of the water.
Yeah, tell him, Blue.
Did not expect that.
For sure, Sharp Rain is online and ready, staring down Raze here. So I don't think he got, oh no, sorry, he did get one Kinu buff, which is why he took the Tsunami a little bit better than otherwise. So Sharp Rain 68%, where we headed? Oh, low, down to 15%. Does Energy Manipulation do the rest, or perhaps a Psy Surge as well?
We'll have to see. Tornado will be thrown out here. We'll do some decent damage on the Whip Plump, and the Rise will King's Roar at least try and do something. Speed down is important for down the line, so even if the Rise will be eliminated here, he at least goes down with at least a legacy. But the Rise being eliminated is a big problem now. No longer that negation. You can't stop the Cerny from buffing itself up and doing decent damage now. Wolfie comes in, but this is where you swap in Cerny and Kinu back in. Surely you just go, alright, it's time for them to come back in. It's time for them to literally take no damage.
Yeah, exactly, and Wolfie does not do too good into those, as you said, Blue, so I think that's a fantastic line of play for 2T. Most likely going to be going with that. And the King Roar, as you said, Blue, effective for the speed, but of course that attack, both of those Temtems being special attackers, so only good value on the speed there, but of course not too much on that physical end. But yeah, you had to do something before going down. But yeah, beautiful cage from 2T, guaranteeing the race to go down right there, right now. So not too bad. A little advantage heading the way of 2T as it stands. But there's still, it's only turn 6, so it's still a decent amount of game to be played out. Alright.
Toutirabien will swap in the Volorend. Thought it was going to be the Cerny, but decides that it's not time yet. Wants to set up that Volorend with the Toxic Plume, of course, and the Kinu buffs as well. So Again, the struggle will be to see how much damage Kanzaki can do before any of this disaster is brought upon. Volorend is going to get locked in here with that exhaust. And the wind burst as well will do as much damage as possible, but this Volorend has Toxic Plume ready, and that will do a lot of damage if Kanzaki decides to face check it. And the problem is, there are 3 nature Tems on the side of Kanzaki, one of them being a Wolfie, but regardless, this means a mix can get swapped in here, and then minus attack is also available. So it's a problem because you can't swap in Gaialis unless you want to face check that. I mean, mix being swapped in here is not going to change anything for Toutirabien because you don't want Kinu here down the line anyways, right? So I don't know, this is such a problem right
the
now.
mix not too much. Remember, those are special attacks, but I mean, it could just be a solid Toxic Plume for sure, but not trying to deal too much with the Volorend here. So Gaialis with that heavy physical presence is going to be coming out, and paired up the infamous duo we saw them all last patch, the Kinu Gaialis coming out for Kanzaki. And I think this is a solid read there, intended to go into the Wolfie there, catching the Gaialis. Oh, even a tankier bird. And you know, thinking about it, the Volorend much better because Saku would have pressured down Cernif a little bit too much, and he still wanted the Cernif for a little bit later. So I think this Volorend is super solid. Did we just see it increase? Did it just increase special defense? Yeah, it is an anaerobic Volorend for sure.
Yeah. See, now this is kind of the moments where you wish your Gaialis could heat up, because right now I don't think it'll do enough damage to threaten Volorend enough, and that is sort of the problem here that Kanzaki is facing. There's just not enough raw damage here he can do to really just scare away this Volorend. Yes, he can try and punish the Kinu, but then you leave options for the other Tems to swap in here, and in fact the Toutirabien will oblige him. Kinu will be swapped out for that Cernif, as mentioned. Now that Kasaku has been scared away, Crystal Bite will be thrown out here, will do as much damage as possible, and it will do a lot, but Noxious Bomb will be thrown out here on that Kinu spot. Wolfie will be taking that instead, and will take 35% damage, or at least 34.5%. Volorend drops to half, but it was only, I believe, 31% damage, so Revitalize is available. You don't have Crystal Bite again. There's a lot of problems here. Sharp Stab will be thrown out as well, just to do as much tick damage as possible. Plague will continually trap this Volorend as much as he can, just trying to kill it.
I think Kanzaki doing an excellent job knowing he has to take down this Vola, so trapping it for that Crystal Bite the following turn. But let's see what Cernif has to say about it. Does he go for the Rallies? Yes, he does. So Volorend coming back up, so not feeling as pressured as he was before. So Crystal Bite, we saw how much he did the first time. Not going to be nearly enough to knock him out there. Wolfie, best attack he got right now is the Plague, and again, that's half damage. So yeah, nothing threatening the Vola into kill range just yet. The bush comes out, so maybe trying to catch the Watercane Lily. We'll see if that read was made.
Absolutely. I mean, Wolfie has to live here. If it does not live, you have a lot of problems in the back pocket. Crystal Bite as well, just trying to do as much damage. But Front Whip actually going on the Gaialis does some decent chunk, but Volorend has to rest. And Wolfie's bush completely ignored and now not available to block anything else.
Yeah, solid read coming out from Tuti saying Wolfie maybe a good time to bush for him, so let's focus down this Gaialis here, and that's exactly what he did. And the stamina is still kicking for the Cernif, is still looking good, and the game plan is still on for Kanzaki. Take down this Volorend first. His hook kick is enough. Oh, so close. 6% still remaining.
Oh, and the Revitalize as well. Both these Tems now out of stamina. Kanzaki, he's exhausted all of his damage options. The Cernif making sure this Volorend does not die whatsoever. And if Gaialis has infinite stamina, you could push for more, but now that Gaialis is overexerted, another Revitalize will make all of that work for nothing.
And did it actually just overexert this turn, or will it have to? Because I didn't see it overexert this past turn. Or did you see that, Blue?
Yes, the Gaialis overexerted to get that hook kick, and unfortunately, the hook kick was not enough, and now Kanzaki is in a situation where Noxious Bombs will come out. You'll see Front Whips continually come out, pummeling away this wall that Toutirabien has set up is now fully operational. 5 special defense plus 3 defense. This Gaialis, the only attack-based Tem, and that's the only weakness of this Volrend at this point, until the Kinu swaps in and makes it invulnerable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so the Volphy, the only threat here, so most likely gonna be going for a Wire Gun Lily onto the Volphy slot. We know Bush isn't online. It was just used the previous turn. It is a 2-turn hold. And yeah, Volphy feeling that pressure. Kinu trying to eat up that Wire Gun Lily one more time. Buffing up Gyalis, so not too bad. Gyalis is looking fairly tanky here. I believe that is a +2/+2 defense, special defense now.
Yeah, the mix comes back out here just to rotate the damage. Fun Whip will connect on the Kinu, but not enough damage. Gyalis, again, forced rest there. So he will get that sustain available. But, I mean, the good news is that everything on Toutirabien side is slower than the Gaialis now. But the downside is, of course, this Gaialis has to do everything. And, unfortunately, Cernif being Callosity means that there is, it's a problem whenever you try an attack. But the cage will be dropped as well. This Gaialis will not be able to swap out. The Kinu tried to leave, but it did not matter. And Kanzaki falls for it again. He falls for the double swap bait, and he gets absolutely nothing out of that turn. Not a rest, not a beta burst, nothing.
Yeah, huge swing. Too many of those, it starts adding up, and it looks like the Kinu not having grease on it. So some tamers going with no grease on the Kinu. Sometimes a bit in the wrong, but Kanzaki, a bit of a horns.
Oh my god.
Let's go, guys. Finals time. It is here among us. Let's get it popping, guys. So Tikibook, as I said, versus 2T. Who is taking home the crown? We got a best of 5 series. You know, it had to be the most competitive. Someone is gonna solidify the lead for sure, you guys. That is as competitive as it can be. A best of 5 series to confirm the champion. A little overdone, but it had to be that way, guys. Might as well. I've already went this long. What's a couple more games, guys? So getting back to the game, Volphy will be catching that very first opening ban from Tutti here.
What I love so much about Tikibook's team is that he doesn't have to run these melee face checkers in the opening. He has Cernif Kinu right now to open instead. He could have opened Kinu Volphy as well, and this is why Tikibook is here. He has options against these sort of tank comps, right? And yes, against toxic comps, it may be a little bit of a struggle, but this is what I want to see in teams, right? I want to see sort of a mix of tank with actual damage sources, and that's sort of the best kind of way to play Temtem. Is that way you can cover everything, but also at the same time not commit into anything, so that when your strategy goes awry, you can still skew into something else. So right now, Tiki, I'm really liking his position. Picks up the Kinu and Mo flank opening, lets the Cernif and Kinu back pocket stay in. And the question is if Toutirabien will let Naga Issei get banned here, because it might be a really good choice considering if Tiki has invested a little bit into speed.
Yeah, definitely, and I love what you're saying, Blue. I think Tiki does cover all bases. He has a little aggro package, and then he has pretty much a little cancer revitalized forever lasting package with the Kinu revitalized Cernif Volphy package too. So yeah, and a couple damage dealers with the mixed mental coverage, and looking like a solid team. But Tuti's team as well, really solid. There's a reason he got here as well. So it will be the Kinu Volphy going head to head against the mix and move flank.
Yeah, picks up the Volphy. This is a lot of pressure. So this is the plan is to essentially plague the mix, trap it in, and then just vortex it. Fortunately for the side of Toutirabien, a single plague will not drop mix to below 50%. Usually how these 40% rather. Usually how these mixes are built, they are not their HP pools are decent enough so that Plague does not drop them below 40%. So the struggle will be if the Kinu will stay in, but I doubt so. So again, there's a lot of mind games. Toutirabien can pick up the Mass Zone here, switch out the Kinu for the Mass Zone, and then just eat everything basically. The question is always what is the plan here for Tiki?
Yeah, I mean, I could see Kinu swapping out, but I could also see, let's say, Plague into move flank, you trap the move flank in, and then a Beta Burst. Of course, you might eat a Crystal Spike to the face, but a Beta Burst plus a Plague, you might leave the move flank in a one-shot Plague range, so you could swap the Kinu the next turn. So yeah, some interesting decisions to be made in that opening turn. Because the move flank could be going down at the hands of Kinu, but is here, Blue. The first game of the finals for the Crystle Cup. Let's get things started, guys. Tikibook versus Tuti. One of these guys will be the champ, but we got a bit to go. So this is just game number 1.
Let us get this going, ladies and gentlemen. The first round. Let us go. Proceed here. Again, so many options. This is the kind of opening that neither player really has a true idea of what to play. There's no clear-cut option, only several options that may be countered. It's all about who is going to take that risk or who is going to duck out first, right? Kinu will be obliterated if he stays in. Most likely will be a swap out. Wolfie, if it does get doubled up with energy manipulation into something like a Gore, will not survive long enough to dust vortex the mix. So a lot of questions to be had. Will the mix get trapped in? Will the Kinu swap out? Will the Wolfie stay in? So mix will be swapped out here. Tiki does not want to deal with any of those shenanigans. Kinu will be swapped in just to sustain this Mo flank. We'll see if Toutirabien read this correctly. In fact, he does. Blake will lock in.
Nice.
Trap it in if it does not have Grease already. Luckily, Grease will prevent that, but Beta Burst will be thrown out here. So instead, this time, it looks like Tiki flinches and his Mo flank takes the punishment. Base jump connects on the Kinu, but the Kinu stayed in, so Toutirabien takes the solid lead in the opening.
Yeah, solid stuff. And I know the game plan there. You wanted to trap the mix so that heavy hitting Does Vortex could clean up the rest. So that was the game plan coming out from Tuti there. But Tiki catching wind of that and making the appropriate switches. Gets a big Beta Burst to the face, and now nothing. Kinu's good. No swapping out for Kinu here. Now rather the move flank is pressured down. So Tikibook potentially has to make another swap, but may not have too much of an ideal swap with the Wolfie covering both crystals as well. So yeah, you can't do the monkey howl here. Kinu checks that one as well. So already turn 2, a tough predicament Tikibook is finding himself in against Tuti here.
Absolutely. Tiki flinching does unfortunately cost him a lot of preparation time, and now the Mo flank is trapped. So this Mo flank will have to do a lot of work. Goring will be thrown out on the Wolfie just to do as much damage as possible, but it might be a bit too little too late. Revitalize buys it a couple more turns, or at least another turn to potentially do something, but Beta Burst is connecting, and right now the danger, this Mo flank is going to go down whether Tiki likes it or not.
Yeah, we just saw how much Plague did, so 1 Plague coming out from this Wolfie. It was the first thing to go, so no such thing as hypnosis or anything. It will be going down. And I believe this is going to be an unnoticed move flank because we didn't see the hurry word sign in the entry. So this is 100% an unnoticed one. At least unless you saw it, Blue. I didn't see the hurry word come up on the screen.
There was no hurry word. In fact,
so yeah, 100% unnoticed. So that's something Tuti has to keep eye. You want to gun it down, but it looks like he's doing just that. One more Plague, as we've been saying, will be putting the move flank to rest. So what is he? Maybe swapping out Kinu for mix to try to prepare. No. Maybe the Mastion trying to anticipate a crystal hitter here.
Oh! Thought there was gonna be a swap in. Actually, Toutirabien reads it wrong. He thought Beta Burst would be enough to kill the Mo flank. We'll see if it is, and in fact it will be. So Mo flank will be picked off. Wolfie was dust vortexing, assuming there was gonna be a swap in. So Beta Burst gonna be thrown out here, and the trade goes the way, at least for the left hand side, goes the way a little bit for Tiki there. However, the Mo flank is sacrificed.
Yeah, Tuti trying to go with that 5-headed plays. Like, Kinu's not staying in, has no business staying in. But I mean, the taking damage is obviously a heck of a value there. Everything in the backline would have taken big damage from a Dust Vortex. So solid staying in there. You know, sometimes a weird play is the right play, but it actually wasn't too bad there. Kinu eating that like a champ. But now Gialis is on the board. It just came out though, so Crystal Bite of course is not online, so Kinu not the most threatened, but who is threatened is this Volphy here. So that double gash, not enough to do that 49% remaining, but still heavy damage. It is effective nonetheless.
Yeah, this is kind of a rough spot for Tiki, losing both flanks so fast. The only Tem that got any buffs as well. So Toutirabien will be swapping out that Volphy, of course, for that Bastion, preparing for those Earth Tems in the back. And this Kinu being in here is just going to make sure that there's so many issues. Stonewall will buy time for the Gialis, but once the Flaming Fury comes out, it's a problem. And Stonewall trades will definitely favor the Bastion.
You know, I mean, something we could take away for sure. I mean, if we're not running Stonewall on your Kinu, these guys are in the finals with the Stonewall. So Stonewall and Kinu, perhaps the new wave. These guys are displaying it, making it show, you know, showing it off here. So Mastion going +2 defense, +1, as well as the Gias. So good buffs on their carry Tems. Of course, Mastion potentially a little bit better going against the 2 crystals that Tiki still has remaining. And of course, even the Kinu as well. So only 1 Temtem in the back line. It doesn't do effective damage into.
Ooh, if Crystal Bite is thrown out on the mix there, the mix will get Puppet Master range and it goes from bad to worse. However, the Monkey is here and the Kinu is not here, so Hook Kick connects on the mix. It does not put him in the Puppet Master range, so that means that Rock Bottom is available to do a lot of damage. The Meteor Swarm is not enough, and now Rock Bottom is ready and will obliterate everything in its path if he's not careful. Toutirabien, however, has a Wimplup and a Kinu to still eat this, so it's not that big of a risk. However, this is why I love this Gialis Size Munch pairing, is now you have the possibility to just obliterate something as the Gialis here, because Rock Bottom is gonna kill a fool.
Yeah, looking to kill a fool indeed. But yeah, just like you said, Blue, the Wimplup and the Kinu, really fine switches, will be eating those quite well. Wimplup, I believe 1/4 damage from Earth, if I remember correctly. So
who does?
Wimplup.
Yes.
Yeah, 1/4, so eats those with ease. And then Kinu, of course, better than the mix in the Mastion and the Volphy, so could definitely see that line of play coming out. Unless, of course, Tikibook says, okay, Tuti's about to do a double swap here. Let's go Monkey Howl with the heat up, just so we have an even heavier hitting Size Munch wreck coming out the next turn. So a little bit of the mind games coming out. And of course, Tuti could maybe say, okay, you're gonna stay, I'm gonna stay in and just embers your Gialis, right?
Yeah, sometimes the best play is the most obvious play, as we always say. Volphy will be swapped in here for that mix, because Hook Kick was used, so the Volphy is safe, but Sharp Stabs will be going that way. The Mastion does stay in, so he assumed that their heat up was available.
Gialis
so now
is out
the
of here.
Meteorite will drop down. We'll see if that eliminates it, and in fact it does, and now the priority is gone. And so read correctly there, the mix saved up, and no Rock Bottom to respond to this Mastion. This is a problem.
Yeah, it is a heat up Monkey though. That is a heavy hitter, so you can never count that out too much. And there we go, buffing it up a little bit more, keeping it a little bit on the defensive end, so you don't have the prio there, but the damage is still here. But the thing about Volphy, Team Elusive actually prevents it from taking that AoE damage, which is what Rock Bottom does. So I believe that's what Tuti brought out Volphy here for the first time, expecting that. But Tiki, of course, going with the heat up. So what does he do now? If Mastion stays in, despite that +2 defense, actually wait, the +2 defense, it kind of cancels out. Will it one shot at 82%? I mean, it's not staying in regardless. It's most likely going to be a whip lump.
Yeah, I don't think Mastion wants to really eat this. I mean, he could sacrifice the Mastion here. There is still a Wimplup, as you mentioned, the Volphy in the back. And Tiki only has a mix to respond for this Mastion. So, I mean, I guess swapping in the Wimplup here is probably the best course of action. This Mastion can definitely still be played later. The big question is if his Monkey will live long enough to even get off a Rock Bottom. because that Wolfie still has Plague, and that does a lot of damage.
Yeah, hopefully the Kinu buff keeps it a little bit more sustained. But you know what? Maybe not going. Maybe expecting the Mastion switch out for the Wimp. Maybe just a solid uppercut into either the Wimplump or ideally the Wolfie if it stays in. You're easily going to one-shot it. Without the heat up, you would one-shot the Wolfie with an uppercut here. So definitely some decisions to be made. A bit of a complex turn. Trying to make the right read is definitely what this turn is about. So Mastion does get swapped out, and it's going to be the Kinu here, so trying to buff up the Wolfie, maybe trying to prepare for that uppercut, but I don't think it's going to be living.
Yeah, Plague will connect, and you can already see how much devastating damage that does. This monkey is just not tanky enough, so the uppercut will come out. The Wolfie will be sacked here for that damage exchange, but now the monkey is trapped, and Wimplump, he's still in the back. Revitalize will make sure the monkey at least has something to play with. But the Beta Burst into a Tornado most likely gets the job done here. That is the problem.
Alright, so Wimplump hitting the board now. So nothing online. The best he has is a simple Cold Breeze. Of course, you could have an Ice Shuriken. Not too many people run it, but that is a zero-hole move that Wimplump does have access to. So that is a potential. But the Monkey Howl or Size Munch is locked in. Kinu with the Beta Burst. I don't think one is enough, so it has to be a double. But Wimplump doesn't have enough in the toolkit just yet.
I mean, if the Kinu lands a Hypnosis here for Tiki's side and Wimplump goes to sleep, that's probably the best case scenario here. Just buy some time for the Size Munch to do something. But the Kinu is so hard to kill for like a Size Munch. I mean, what does he really do against the Kinu, right? Like, uppercut doesn't feel that good. I mean, heat up again would be greedy, but I think the best play theoretically. It's not like he can do much damage to the Kinu at the moment, at least. This is just so problematic right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's caged for this turn and the next turn, so if Kinu doesn't get dealt with on this side, which he doesn't have too much pressure because it is a mental Tem, 2 Beta Bursts, or just a single Beta Burst followed by a Sharp Brain Tornado, that will clean up the monkey here, so actually Tornado won't even go online, so gonna swap it in for the mix here. Very interesting.
Yeah, decides to put in the mix, so uppercut gonna come through and we will one-shot the miss. Absolutely obliterated that mix. Did not want the Whipple to take that, and Beta Burst is thrown out. Bravely, just valiantly just fighting back here, and unfortunately for Toutirabien, he reads it wrong, and Size Munch will take this hit kindly. One turn now. He needs to survive 1 round plus to survive and stay in. He's already brought this back ever so slightly, but now the Mastion is here. The question is, who is faster, and it will rock bottom and kill.
Yeah, I mean, Mastion being as slow as he is, we just saw the uppercut go before the Kinu, so Size Munch is indeed faster than Tuti's Kinu. We saw that the previous turn. The question is, I don't think Mastion's going to be staying around for too much longer, but it is going to be a confirmed kill on the Size Munch, but I think he's already gotten enough value. That's a Wolfie knockout, that's a mixed knockout, but let's go, Blue.
Oh, obliterates the Mastion and Kinu's HP. The Beta Burst is still available. Yes, the monkey overexerts for that, but you already brought this into such a scary position. If the Mastion does not go before the Kinu of Tiki, this is so close now. The Wimplump is in the back, but Revitalize is missed. What a Beta Burst! The Mastion meter swarms. The Kinu's not going to survive. This is way too much damage. It will get obliterated. So now Mix is in a 3v1 situation, but it could have been a 1v1 situation. Tiki reads it wrong.
Yeah, he was making such the right reads. I mean, he messed up a little bit on the prio. If that was a Beta Burst into the Mastion spot, this could be a completely different game. But man, oh man, Tuti turning around with a simple turn right there. The Size Munch doing so much, but the Revitalize thinking, but wait a minute, Meteor Swarm going before the Kinu Revitalize. How slow is that Kinu? That has to be what?
No, the Revitalize what happened, but it was on the Size Munch, but the Size Munch was dead beforehand. So there was nothing
Oh yeah,
there.
Meteor went after, of course.
Yes. So now the Kinu swaps in here, the Wimplop at full HP. The question is if this Mix is a god gamer and manages to obliterate the Wimplop's HP, he has to do it in 3 turns before Sharp Rain is online, and that is such a tall order to ask for.
Yeah, so actually Tornado's still not online, but something going for Tutti here is that Protector buff onto it. So energy manipulation, saving the stamina. So the 1v1 of this matchup, and it's Blizzard. Okay, Blizzard is online, and man, look at that damage. So Tornado next turn, I will think 100% will take the Mix down. So Tutti looking like the confirmed winner. Let's see, Tornado 57%. Oh, very close.
Tornado doesn't kill, but Wimplop has patience. He has a free sweatband. He's perfectly fine with it. Crystal Spikes, this ain't no Valash. This won't be a one-shot, not even close. And unfortunately, Tiki made one fatal flaw in that last match, and the advantage, or at least the opportunity Toutirabien gave him, was not enough. Crystal Spikes on himself to save himself some trouble as we go into game 2.
Tiki, since of course he ended up losing. So here we are. This is game number 2 of our finals. Tutti versus Tiki. Tiki trying to make a bit of a comeback here on Tutti after that game loss. But Wolfie catching the ban this time. And Tiki had the Wolfie. Or no, it was Tutti that had the Wolfie. So Tiki, maybe that was the same ban from before.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a interesting matchup. Both players gave each other opportunities as they both try to mind game each other. I mean, that's basically what it came down to, right? Both players thought that they had the 5-head play to outread their opponent, but in the end just psyched themselves out, really. And again, we always say this, but the most obvious play is sometimes the best play. And I think both these players tried to outdo that and say, well, the counter to the best play is obviously the most unlikely play, and unfortunately just brought themselves in a compromised position. But we'll have to see. Cernif is allowed through this time for Tiki, but Naga Issei is as well, and this is already looking very, very scary for Toutirabien.
Extremely scary. We always said Naga Issei might be the one you always want to ban, but Kinu gets picked up the ban. So Cernif and Naga as the first to go. We have barely seen Naga do too much in this tournament, but we're seeing it here displayed in the finals. And yeah, Blue, the Masion catching the ban there. Masion, a heck of a Temtem himself, did quite a lot for Tutti that previous game.
Yeah, Tiki just, Toutirabien just trying to figure out what Crystal Tem he wants to remove, or at least what melee Tem he wants to remove here. If he lets in the Size Munch, he has to prepare for those rock bottoms, and I think that's probably the ban, and that is indeed the chosen target. He does not want to deal with those Size Munch Rex, because if by some miracle Naga Issei is dropped too early, those rock bottoms are gonna kill everything. And at least if it's not going to kill everything, it's going to do a lot of damage. Gyalis and Mix probably the pickup here for the side of Tiki. The question is if he wants Moflak or Kinu to go along with this, because again, that Naga Issei, there's no guarantee he kills it fast enough.
Yeah, so Tutti going with the Mix. He does have double mental for the Scunch for the move flank, so we'll see if Tiki wants to pick up the move flank, already knowing that 2 mentals have been already drafted for Tutti's side.
Yeah, this is a bit of a struggle. The Wolverine comes out here on the side of Toutirabien. And now the question is if he wants to pick up the Wimplump, which he does. The Wolfie does not really have a place here, as there is a Cernif and Scotch, of course. So the match 2 will begin. The Naga Issei is played for Toutirabien, and we'll see how Tiki can bring this back.
Yeah, he does have the Scunch on the board, so if he's able to keep Scunch safe, eliminate the Naga here, it should be pretty decent for what he calls causation. So we'll see how it plays out, because turn number 1, the Cernif is looking straight at Naga Issei here. That is effective damage. You know, with the 3rd Evo, it comes another typing, and that is a water typing. Of course, nature effective into water. So that is what Tiki's thinking. I don't think this Skunch is gonna stay here. One Beta Burst, especially from Nagaise, will definitely take it down. So let's see what's gonna play out. I mean, Cernif here, okay, they decided to pick their moves. So yeah, Skunch has no business being on the opening board.
Exactly. Kinu will be swapped in here, so that double Revitalize will be extremely effective down the line, or at least in fact next turn. Beta Burst will be thrown out here from that Nagaise. Was not Madness buff, did not decide to agree, just wanted to punish him. The Skunch decided to stay in, but Water Cutting Lily will also return in kind that favor. Water Cutting Lily will do a lot of damage, but Nagaise up to 20%. Water Cutting Lily will trade, in fact. We'll see where that goes. It will be going into that Kinu spot just to punish the Kinu's appearance. But now Revitalize is available, Water Cutting Lily is available, and Kinu can revitalize itself and it'll be safe here. There is no damage that Toutirabien can do to kill off that Kinu, as Water Cutting Lily is way too fast.
Yeah, with the Sea Aura on the board, it flips things around, of course, so Psy Surge will most likely be coming out, but never mind that. Nagaise does not want to get another one of those. Easily will get one shot, of course. It did over 80% damage, so could kill it a couple times over here. So most likely gonna be swapped to the Volren. That's about the best thing that could be eaten, or sorry, the best Temtem that could eat this Water Cutting Lily. And I think, yeah, Tutti definitely feels the same way.
Exactly, so Revitalize will be here. Actually decides to smoke ball. Goes into Cerny's Revitalize, reads the Nagaise swap. Tiki makes it right. Revitalize is thrown out on the Volren. Water Cutting Lily will be thrown out as well here. We'll see how this goes. We'll do some decent damage on the Volren, but
yeah,
yikes.
I think it messed up a little bit because of the Sea Aura. Thinking that the 3 prior Water Cutting Lily would connect first on the Volren to do some damage. Went with the Revitalize play, but maybe confusing up the turn order a little bit there.
Yeah, but Revitalize is slower than Water Cutting Lily, therefore it goes
yeah, exactly. It's slower, so it goes before because of the Sea Aura. So yeah, a little bit of a misstep there, and it's just because the Sea Aura is just so complicated sometimes, and it's simple, but at sometimes complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really blame Toutirabien for trying that. Of course, if it worked, then we would go back to net zero on his board. But regardless, Tiki will remove that Kinu. Gaialis comes back out here. But what I'm concerned about is the mix swaps in into a Toxic Plume. And exactly that might be such a bad impact here on the Gaialis. He needs that attack. He needs every bit of it. Shy Shield is thrown out. But the Toxic Plume is now available. And this is what I was concerned about. The Gaialis gets an attack down. And that's going to be so big.
Yeah, as you said, Blue, that is huge. That is the 2 Temtem out of all Tiki's lineup. Of course, the Skunch could have used it too, but if any 2 Temtems you want -1 attack, it is these 2 Tems, the Cernif and the Gyas. So very well played for Tutti there. The Toxic Plume gonna be paying off hugely a little bit more down the road. But yeah, well played for Tutti. Rolling a little bit in momentum so far, but of course this is only turn 4, so you can't call things too soon. But man, a +4 defense Cernif looking pretty decent so far.
Yeah, well, what I'm surprised about was Tiki didn't even consider that Toxic Plume would be played there. I think he swapped at the Gaialis in a heartbeat. He didn't even consider that. Maybe okay to let that Gaialis reduce the attack, but it still feels so bad, especially if you still have a mix to swap in as well, who could potentially eat that Toxic Plume with no problem whatsoever. I don't know. It's just that was very interesting. Maybe thought Noxious Bomb was going to be played, but the thing is, Kinu was swapping out no matter what there. Surely there's no way that Kinu was staying in. Already used its Stonewall. Maybe thought Revitalize. Yeah, it's just strange. A misplay for sure, but still does a lot of damage. Hook Kick is thrown out. Crystal Spikes is also going to be thrown out on the Gaialis. Gaialis drops to 55%, but that's not the worst thing in the world, because Revitalize will make sure that the Cernif will stay healthy. Does not even go on the Gaialis. Lets that Gaialis.
I was thinking maybe Revitalize Gaialis, but maybe expecting something like a Noxious Bomb onto Cernif slot there. So gonna go ahead and Revitalize itself.
Yeah, if the Gaialis goes down, that means only the mix will be able to deal with Nagaise, and that's the reason why the Skunch is not seeing play, is because if Nagaise swaps in and Tiki reads it wrong, then he just loses tempo in terms of what he can attack and what he can do. Gaialis in a situation where it's low And yes, it is faster, but it feels bad to sack a Gaialis for some form of damage on a Volorant, especially when there's still another Cerny from the opposing side. Water Cannon will be thrown out on this mix. Wants to kill it off with a double attack. We'll see if it is enough. Crystal Fight.
Is it?
Not that minus attack is going to punish this Gaialis, and he will be sitting in that grave. And this is what happens when you let that Gaialis take reduced damage. Toxic Plume just going to continually punish the Cerny for staying in. -1 attack again, and now settling will do absolutely nothing to benefit the Cerny.
Yeah, so even with the rock shield, a normal base stage Gaialis easily one-shots that mix there from that HP range, but man, that 33% reduction from the previous Toxic Plume already showing paying off so much dividends, keeping the mix alive, and ends up killing the Gaialis with that good old Crystal Spike. And actually, wait a minute, the Crystal Spike going second to Gaialis Crystal Bite, so is that closer to max speed Gaialis?
It actually went Water Cannon, really, Crystal Bite, and then Crystal Spikes. So again, just it's just unfortunate. Again, I mean, I'm sure everyone can see what would have happened if the Toxic Plume the first time did not connect. The mix would not be here, and we would not have killed the Gaialis. That's for a factor. If Toutirabien read that wrong and his mix died, then Tiki would be at an advantage right now, but now at a big disadvantage with lacking that damage. And Naga Issei literally existing is already a problem.
Yeah, it definitely checks it in the back, that Skunch there. And Skunch only stay on the board 1 turn, so not even those 1-hold moves. Of course, the Ninja Jutsu not even online as well. So Cernif does retreat for the time being, and now comes the scale to see if Tuti was able to predict something like this. But no, or I thought we'd get a switch, but maybe we do get a side surge on that spot. That would be a 5-head read.
Absolutely, Noxious Bomb will be thrown out here on the Kinu, so Kinu will be dropped. There's just way too much damage.
Wait a minute, Blue.
Maximum attack anaerobic, and this mix, if he threw out a C Spikes instead of an no, Sponge is dead. The Sonic was about to take this, but now the Sponge is going to get obliterated. Tiki
out of here.
Let's go. Going down 2-0 to Toutirabien. He is pushing through, and Tiki again. It goes from bad to horribly worse.
Yeah, I just want to go with a good side surge, perhaps on the Cernif, but the Skunch eating the brunt of Mix's pain there, of Mix's power. So well done, Tiki, finding himself with the Cernif, with the Mix remaining, and Tuti with a dominating performance here for game number 2, still with all 5 Temtems remaining. He still has a bit ways to go to take these guys down, but I think with the 5 Temtems still online for him, is looking pretty promising so far for Tuti.
Yeah, I mean, this mix now for Tiki, it's not even safe. The Volorant has Toxic Plume at any point in his lifetime, so even if Toutirabien decides to trade C Spikes on the mix and then Toxic Plume, just consistently spam out that damage, this mix is not going to live. And again, another problem, Surf is still alive on the side of Toutirabien. He can swap that in, revitalize the Volorant, and the Volorant is going to become invulnerable, unfortunately. So Toutirabien decides against that. Cernif instead on that Volorant spot instead of the other way around. So it will eat the Crystal Spikes if it does come down to it. Bush is thrown out here on the side of Tiki, just preventing Toxic Plume from doing anything. Crystal Spikes was meant for the Volorant. So again, Tiki just reading that, or rather, Toutirabien reading the play. And now Bush is wasted. Mix, you see Spikes on Cernif. This is... it's just, there's so many options for Toutirabien that Tiki's plays are just becoming incredibly readable now. Bush is played out as well, so it's going to block any attempt of damage, and there you go. Just a lot of stamina burned, and that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes readable because there's no such thing as swapping out, right? It's the final 2 Temtems, so it's really straightforward. You know these guys are the only ones left, so you kind of just make your plays accordingly. Becomes definitely super straightforward in this end game. In this situation, So yeah, it becomes a bit easier to read. So Water Cannon Lily connecting on a mix, taking him down to 66, so solid 33. Oh, is a doppelganger on there, but not even needed. The Sea Spikes is enough. So now the Lonely Surnif versus the world. And man, Tuti putting on a show here, but nothing against Tiki, playing it really well. Tuti just catching those reads there. And he doesn't have anything directly to hurt the Surnif too much, so he's still got a couple turns to go. But with some Sea Spikes, with some noxious bombs, little by little, it should be going down.
Yeah, I mean, Tiki at this point just trying to buy himself some time, but once his Volrend comes back in next to this Surnif, Toutirabien will just Toxic Plume until this Surnif will not have enough HP to live with it. Frond Whip as well, actually, tried to do something. But I guess Toutirabien is playing it safe here. He knows that, unfortunately, Tiki is waiting on the inevitable. We are here for 18 turns unless Toutirabien decides to swap in the Volrend at some point. So again, just not enough damage. So Tiki trying to run down the clock, but with 5 Tems on the side of Toutirabien, it's not going to happen. There's just nothing here. Sea Spikes is thrown out.
Let's see how much. So 96%.
Yeah,
okay, so solid,
it's
almost 20.
Revitalized. Yeah, it's more than revitalized. So it's it will happen. There's no way this Surnif will survive long enough here. The Frond Whips, Water Cutting Lilies, the Sea Spikes, they will all add up eventually. Surnif will again throw out that Water Cutting Lily again, dropping 5%. EM also punishing that Surnif, and again, it's gonna come down to it. Revitalize is going to be used, but already taking 15% damage. This is going to be a struggle.
Yeah, I'm surprised Tuti hasn't swapped in the Volrend, perhaps fearing it going down too soon, but I feel like it's not too threatened from Water Cutting Lily, so I think just swapping in the Volrend do more effective damage. The Poison Ticks, 12.5%, no matter the buff, so I feel like Surnif not doing all that much. I know he wants to keep stacking up these settling buffs, that's probably why he's kept it in here so long.
Yeah, no, I believe Toutirabien has a Callosity actually, or am I wrong when I say that? Regardless, Side Surge will be thrown out here. This is a problem. Tylo taking 17% damage as well. Is the Surnif on? No. Toutirabien has a Callosity Surnif, so swapping in Volrend would do nothing here. Yeah, he has a Callosity. So again, I think Volrend is the right play here. Just nullify the Surnif and also have toxic damage for the road, but I don't understand why Volrend is not being swapped in here. Honestly, I think that would actually just finish the game faster. Toutirabien playing the safe.
I mean, Bush is online for both players, so maybe that's gonna be a play. Okay, maybe not online for Tiki just yet, but yeah, I mean, Tiki trying to find a way back in this. I mean, this is what the Surnif matchups tend to be. I mean, if Volrend was on the board, maybe a little different story. I'm actually surprised. Maybe, I mean, just trying to go out as long as he can.
Yeah,
but
there we go.
Yeah, Tiki.
Unfortunately, there's nothing there. It is me, Blue Sapphire. Hello, how are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the finals. If you just arrived to Toutirabien versus Tikibook, we will see how both these players will perform in the final, in the third game at least. In the finals here, the problem right now for Tiki is, of course, he has to at least bring it back slightly. Toutrabien's head is obviously caved in. His mind has literally exploded out of his head, as unfortunately, you know, to make those 5-head plays, your brain has to be somewhere else. And so we'll see what Toutirabien can do here. As Tiki, of course, you can see that Afro, guys. Do not get fooled. That Afro does not actually contain a big brain. That's just hair. So you can kind of see the brain difference here. Toutrabien's brain is so big it's literally jumped out of his face. Tiki's, unfortunately, that's an Afro. So we'll have to see what these players can do. And Surnif ban immediately from Tiki just allows some shenanigans here.
Alright, we're back, Blue. Appreciate holding it down. So what did we get? So Surnif ban was the first ban for Tiki there. Oh, and I was supposed to spectate on Tiki's side. Okay, we'll see. So maybe Tiki brings this back around. I was flip-flopping back and forth. But okay, it looks like Tuti going with the same strategy, banning the Volphy there. And wait a minute, Blue. Is this what we saw in game 1? Was it Mastion Kinu? Or was that a different game?
It was from this. You're getting flashbacks because this is the exact opening of the first game of Kanzaki versus Toutirabien. This is the opening he chose when Cernif was banned. So this is a this is a tried and true tested opening, I guess, for Toutirabien. Understanding that Mastion Kinu is a very, very safe opening, especially when you're playing blue.
Yeah, so Tiki going with the aggro strat that's been working for him so far. So the Gialis and the move flank getting picked up on his side. But man, honestly, it looks a bit rough here. Mastion checks the Gialis, Beta Burst checks the move flank. So all the pressure coming onto Tikibook for the opening turn. And Tiki had the counter pick there. Very interesting.
It's going to be interesting here. Nagaise is picked up by Toutirabien. Tiki lets that through. Decides to remove the mix. I'm surprised here. Tiki switches up the game plan completely here. Wants to go full barbarian mode, it seems. Batting the mix out. It is a mental temp, but there's still 2 mentals here. So Size Munch or Scunch, rain or day, it doesn't really matter here. This is interesting. Wimplump is picked up, of course. Volorend and Wolfie being the choices here. This is So Toutirabien, there's this. I think the Volorend is the safer play here. Let's well, no, the Size Munch is still in the field, but there is no tanks here. Actually, I just realized Toutirabien does not have any of its tanks, so Volorend is kind of a forced pickup here.
Yeah, and his Volant was an anaerobic, which does pretty good against the mix there, as we saw before. So picking it up, pretty solid pickup. So what does Tiki want to round his team up with? Is it the Scunch? Is it the Size Munch? It will be the neutral melee temp Scunch. And this may be it. We might be approaching our very last game, but I don't want to count Tiki out. He could be bringing things back around, but as we keep saying, the finals is here. The finals is now. So Kinu Massey on Tuti's side. His face has gone a little haywire here, unfortunately. But Tiki with the Gias and Mooflake trying to go at it. Trying to go with the reverse sweep. Tuti, as we said, 1 game away from the crown. So let's go. Double Gash going into Mastion.
Oh, this is so fast. Both players know exactly what they want here, as Tiki, like a caged animal, will just go all in, base jump into that double gash. Embers will trade, and already fireworks are displayed straight out the opening. Mastion, of course, has raised defenses, so we'll take that in kind. But now, Tiki, in a situation where both Gaias and Moflank are now at risk of death already.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking, Blue. I mean, Tuti had all the pressure from that opening game. I mean, as we just saw, Ember's going on to Giaz way over 50%. Beta Bird's going on to Mooflank way over 50%. So one more set of attacks like that, and both Temtems will be dropping down. So Tiki in a position where he pretty much has to swap if he wants to preserve some of these Tems. So let's take a look at that back line. He has things like Kinu he could eat something with, perhaps the Beta Burst on the Kinu side, or sorry, Kinu on the Moflank side, anticipating the Beta Burst, and then to try to eat some crystal damage, or sorry, some fire damage. Oh, there's nothing to do that. The mix doesn't want it, the Scunch doesn't want it, so a bit of a problem coming into this turn number 2 for Tiki.
There's the problem is that Beta Burst will eliminate the Moflank here. Boring is available, so he might try to pick off something here. The question is if Toutirabien flinches here, but no, Tiki flinches first. Moflank will be eliminated for the mix here, so another Beta Burst will be perfectly reasonable there. But Crystal Bite will be thrown out here on the Kinu. Kinu will survive that perfectly fine. So Beta Burst will be thrown out on the mix, but that means the Gaialis is dead here. As a Meteor Swarm is thrown out, this mix, he has to survive. We'll see how it spread. It survives just barely, and Gaialis will drop here. And the Gambit will slightly pay off, but the problem is Naga Issei is still here, and that Skunch is getting closer and closer to being thrown into the game, which is the last thing you want to hear.
Yeah, and man, this is looking rough only because take a look at the remaining Tems. That's 2 neutrals versus 2 mentals on 2T's side. Masion checks the Kinu in the mix here with another Meteor Swarm incoming. Voldemort has access to Toxic Plume. I don't want to count Tiki out whatsoever for sure, but these opening turns have been heavily favoring 2T so far.
Yeah, right now the mix is safe, no Meteor Swarm, but Naga Issei is the problem here is Toutirabien has to attack Kinu, lest he wants Skunch to get obliterated here. But then you have Meteor Swarm in danger, the Skunch is probably faster than the Masion. This is so problematic. Toutirabien in such a dominant position in the sense that, again, you're kind of left with a lot of options here. Unlike the first game where the misplays happened because both players trying to mind game the other, this time I would say the most obvious play, which is to swap in the Naga Issei, is the best play. Lest, of course, the Crystal Spike kills the Naga Issei outright, but that will be the play. Naga Issei comes in here, Crystal Spikes.
Yeah, should be able to survive 1, so we'll take a look.
Yeah, Crystal Spikes is going to be the play here. I mean, the question is if the Naga Issei survives, which most likely will. Oh my god, that was scary, but not scary enough. This, with the Flaming Meteorite and the Meteorite doing a lot of damage. The problem now is that the Mix can't stay in. The Master has Meteor Swarm, and it's gonna be faster than Mix. So this Naga Issei is not even threatened to die. You can Beta Burst the Skunch, and anything that swaps in is free game right now for Tiki.
This is exactly the ultimate combo. Masion paired with the Sea Aura is devastating for any opponent. That 1 Prio Meteor Swarm is insane. Masion being already one of the slowest Temtem, so even those Embers, the Flaming Meteorite, everything coming from Masion generally the slowest on the board, aka the fastest on the board with the Sea Aura. So yeah, whatever the mix becomes, the move flank, the Kinu, this Meteor Swarm gonna be quite impactful.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show you swimming in lava isn't always a bad thing. Mastion making even though, you know, quite slower compared to his watery brothers and cousins, is so impactful. Meteor Swarm goes first, in fact, so Mix is dead. The Moflank is now at risk of a Beta Burst, and this Naga Issei also has the Fury available for later down the line, so Bastion overexerts for that, but the punishment is too real. The Naga Issei even throws out the Fury just in case the Mix was leaving, but unfortunately it will be the Moflank leaving this planet, and this Bastion is overexerted, but the Beta Burst is still available, and that's just the Skunch and Kinu now, and this is such a problem. This is not looking close at all.
Yeah, so Naga with the Beta Burst and Kinu, man, it almost feels...